Nothing. I was shocked.
We had fireworks, but I will say what was worse was I was driving in this morning and found the worst neighbor of the year, guy mowing his lawn at 5:30 in the morning.
You know what?
Oh my God.
That guy is
In Waltham.
That guy is getting back at his neighbors for last night, is what that is. Oh, you're going to shoot fireworks off at 1 a.m.? I'm going to go start my lawnmower outside your window at 5.
Yeah, but how about everybody else? Unless the entire neighborhood was at it, that's just an awful neighbor. 5 a.m. mowing his lawn.
Worst neighbor of the year, July 5th, 5:30 in the morning, mowing his lawn.
Good for him. Good for him. They deserve it.
That is brutal, man. Would you get up and yell at him? Would you do something if you were his neighbor?
Yeah.
I would too.
Hell yeah.
I'd absolutely
I'd turn
be
my
out.
sprinklers on.
Front door, I'd be like, dude, what are we doing? I would have to say something. There's no way I would just
Or do you think he was still drunk?
It's possible.
drunk mowing at 5:30.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'd be doing it.
He was just laying around. He's like,
Absolutely.
you know what? I can't fall asleep.
Yep.
Might as
Who
well
among-
grab the mower.
Who among us hasn't hopped on the riding mower at 4 a.m.? It's like, hey, let's go mow the lawn. Sure.
When you're that drunk, you don't care about your neighbor's feelings. You're just like, you know what? I could be productive right now.
Maybe he'll start doing everybody else's lawn in the neighborhood if he's that drunk. Just starts going down the street onto the next house.
It was right off this main street in Waltham right here.
Oh, my God. If he is sober, if that human being is sober, and he got up at like 4, because you're not getting up, just rolling out of bed, jumping on the mower and mowing.
Grabbing a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, I'm just take my coffee out and go ride around on the mower for a little while.
This guy was up at like 4
America,
a.m.
hell yeah.
This guy's up like 4 a.m., fired up and ready to go on the 5th of July. Good for him.
Yeah. The explosion started, I mean, they were going all afternoon. Like, I don't get that. I'm not a fireworks guy, as you might have figured out.
Yeah.
But I really don't get, like, why are you blowing things up at 3 in the afternoon? Like, what you can't, like, that's not even making pretty colors.
No.
You're not even
no.
American. They're just doing it to do it.
Well, I don't know about you, Kendra, but, I lived down in Virginia Beach for a number of years, and I heard Cerrone talk about this the other day. I think it was with Beetle. It was either with Beetle or Joe Murray, but he was mentioning how down south it's different, and it is.
Yeah.
Like, you think about explosions up here. You go down south, the explosions are just like house-rattling explosions
Dude, I'm
on your street.
from Florida. The closest thing
Yeah.
to my house growing up was a fireworks shop.
It's madness.
24/7.
It's madness.
When I was a kid, we did a trip like 4th of July-ish. We were down in the Carolinas at the beach.
Yeah.
And it was like being in Beirut. I
Yeah.
mean, you couldn't get anywhere across the beach because there were just explosions coming from it was scary. I mean, people are setting off things like, you definitely should not have access to this.
You have a dog?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is why I hate 4th of July so
Yeah.
much, because that poor guy is at the end of his rope. Thankfully, my wife, it's like, I got to go to bed. She's downstairs with the dog for hours.
Do you do the peanut butter with the Benadryl?
No, we don't drug him. We won't drug him.
Wow. Out here free ball in the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to get him hooked on anything,
Can't get the dog hooked on drugs.
I'm not sending him to doggy rehab or anything like that. So
The dog.
he can gut it out. This is because the problem is it's the whole week. Like, this isn't just if it was just last night, it's like, okay, no big, we can deal with it. But it'll be tonight.
Does he do
and
thunder
tomorrow.
too or no?
Yeah, hates it.
Wow.
Hates it.
Do you guys have the jacket?
the like thunder shirt thing?
Yeah.
Those don't work.
See,
I
that's-
have one for my dog. Never works.
Yeah, my parents tried that with their dog years ago, and it didn't work. So
My
we
dog
didn't
does
bother.
not give a crap about any of that.
Oh, I wish.
Don't get an Aussie, they're nuts.
He literally just runs around the house just barking nonstop. Like, and once one explosion goes off, he's going for like 20
Yeah.
minutes. So
Yeah.
there's just no stopping it.
Yeah, Sammy
And he's
freaks
jumping
out.
up on the couch by the window, and then he's jumping down, and he's running into the kitchen. He's just manic. And so, God bless my wife. It's like, I got to get up at 4:30.
Yeah.
So she stays downstairs with him. I go to bed last night. Even without him freaking out upstairs, I was having trouble getting to sleep because I would rather the guy with the lawnmower be parked outside, because at least that's a steady, calm,
White
it's
noise.
just noise, as opposed to you're just dozing off and then boom, like big explosion, and then you wake up and you hear what sounds like machine gun fire coming from the other direction. I'm telling you, I get the whole PTSD thing.
Yeah.
Because I have PTSD from last night.
I understand the dog thing, too, because just imagine, they don't know what's going on, right? They have no idea of what's happening, so all they hear is the boom. And my dog, Sammy, she freaks out. We've got CBD treats, we've got the Thunder Jacket, and none of it works. She freaks out.
My wife had she had something going on yesterday with like there's like peanut butter smeared in a bowl and put in the freezer, and like it had little treats mixed into it or whatever.
Yep.
So she was going to try that out when it got to be the worst of the worst last night, which was after I went to bed. So I'll be interested to hear if that, if he paid any attention to that at all. I'm guessing not.
My dog got up this morning, apparently. I was up at like 3:45, and there's no way Kelly is getting up at 4:45. She's sleeping in. But Sammy decided to jump up on the bed this morning and just throw up everywhere. For really we don't even know why. So it's like 4
Probably
a.m.
anxiety.
4 a.m. My wife gets up and I hear her like leaving the bedroom. I'm like, what's going on right now? Threw up all over the place.
That's the worst, is when it's the middle of the night and you hear the and you're like, no, not on the bed, and you gotta like gently throw them off in the middle of the night. You have no idea what's going on.
I'm gonna be honest, I was happy I was not in the bed when she puked. Kind of felt bad for my wife, kind of didn't. I was like, oh, well, at least I wasn't in the bed while that happened.
No,
but yeah,
that
she
is
just
the
let it rip.
worst is waking up to the
Oh, God.
Oh, man. So this is going to be, I'm just, last night was kind of the start. We got a nice long 4-day weekend.
I don't know if it's like this around here. I don't remember it being like this. But, again, down in Virginia Beach, you're talking till, like, the middle of July, which irritates the crap out of me. Like, get it out of your system. Like, the 4th of July is the 4th of July. Don't be lighting off bombs on the street on, like, July 12th just because you want to light off a bomb on the street. Like, get it out of your system. Just use all that you've got this weekend. Go bananas. And then move on with your life. The 4th of July is the 4th of July weekend. That's it.
Well, that's it. My wife last night, she's like, she's looking at the radar. She's like, I thought we were supposed to get some rain tonight. Would have been nice. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Like, we've had rainy 4th of Julys before. Number one, some of our neighbors will still shoot their stuff off tonight.
They'll
Number
make it
two,
happen.
they've already bought the stuff. It's not like they're waiting on deliveries and if it rains, we just won't do it this year. It's like, no, at some point, they're going to blow all this stuff up. It's just a question of what date they choose to do it. Well, the last place we lived in before we bought our house, we were kind of right on the edge of a sketchy neighborhood. And it was basically from about Memorial Day through, I'd say, end of summer, where you could pretty much count on you were going to hear some level of explosions almost every night. And then one year on the 4th of July, I was awoken at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Fireworks going off. Bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, oh, man. Well, it turns out, nope. That was a drive-by shooting.
Time to go.
That was about the time we made the determination. Like, we've been thinking about buying a house. Yeah, I think now's the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to get out of there, Ryan. I'm
like
not
somebody had fired like 8 shots into a house like a block away from us. Like, oh, okay, yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah, I'm out. That's no good. That's officially not good when you have drive-bys in the neighborhood. I think you made the smart move by getting the hell out of there.
But it was it sounded, it was, I had that same sound come into my bedroom in the middle of the night like 100 times.
So do you enjoy like watching fireworks at least, or
No.
you're just completely out on the experience?
It's just, it never really did it. Now, when I was a little kid, I was petrified of them. Like, hated them.
Yeah, my ears are sensitive, so like the sound of them, like we'd go watch the fireworks, I'd have to sit in the car to watch the fireworks.
Sensitive ears.
I've been there.
that?
I didn't like, you know what? Didn't like the sound. I always, when I was real young, like they used to set off fireworks. I grew up in Philly, go to a Phillies game. They would set off fireworks every time somebody hit a home run.
Yeah.
Went to a night game.
Yep.
Right? And these, you get the big explosion, which was bad enough. But then, when I was young enough, like the stuff falling out of the sky, like just like flaming bits of God knows what falling out of the sky towards you. That always freaked me out too. I'm like, somebody's going to get hit by this stuff. So I used to literally run to the concourse when somebody would hit a home run and I knew the fireworks were about to go off.
You'd get up and go.
I would just turn and run. My parents, like, I'm like 6 years old. My parents would turn around like to high five me over the home run, and I'm gone.
You're ghosted. Usain Bolt up the aisleway towards the concourse.
So I eventually grew out of that, but I never really cared. I don't like them.
I'm just glad you addressed that. I grew out of it. I could see like you nowadays when the fireworks are about to go off, you just run away
just
from
like
your wife.
Hiding under my bed. No, it's like I grew out of that part, but I never really cared. I never really cared for them. And like, okay, fine. You want to go and on the 4th of July and see the professional fireworks? Like, okay, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do not, for the life of me, understand people who will spend thousands of dollars that you're just literally setting on fire.
I want to watch Zoe light stuff on fire.
Yeah.
Real bad. That is a new life goal of mine.
It is. It is amazing to me that man has all his fingers. He would be prime candidate to lose some sort of body part,
along with the rest of his family. That they're all.
I love watching people blow stuff up. I don't know if it's because I'm from Florida, but I'm in.
It's 100% the Florida in you.
Yes.
Has to be.
The amount of you guys talk about, people going and buying fireworks. The amount of like redneck BS that I watched go on in my front yard as a kid and people just blowing stuff up that they had no business blowing up is absurd.
I can't imagine growing up in Florida. I don't even know what you saw, what you heard.
And I grew up in like white trash, like I'm Leonard Skinner Floridian, man.
Hey, nothing wrong with Leonard Skinner.
There's multiple layers of Florida. Like there's the South, like Miami area is a lot different than what you're getting up in Jacksonville.
Like, not a fan of Miami whatsoever.
I got my dad's living in Panama City Beach these days. Like, that's
your dad's got the life.
That's a different life.
Yeah,
I'm jealous of Papa Johnston.
He's having a good time.
Damn right he is.
Living in Margaritaville.
They're renaming the coastal highway in Florida Jimmy Buffett Highway, so that's kind of a slide.
Nice. Yeah. Were you a Buffett fan?
Oh, huge! I went to so many shows as a kid.
Yeah, I went to 2 of them. I went to one. I think it was down in Virginia Beach, and then I went to one at Wrigley when I was in Chicago one time. That was fantastic. That was a great time. I actually think I went to like 3 or 4 of them. Now that I think of it, great time. You ever go to a Buffett show?
Dozens. I've been to a lot of them. Been to a lot of them.
Such a good time, man.
Yeah, I've seen him. I mean, I've seen him everywhere around. I've seen
last show was in Rhode Island.
I saw him at Gillette. I saw him at Fenway. I saw him at Great Woods. I've seen like every place he's played around here.
Man, I saw him a little less than a handful of times. Rest in power there, Jimmy.
What a king.
Yes, indeed.
Just the tailgate's such a great time.
I mean, fireworks, drive-bys, and Jimmy Buffett. Not a bad first 15 minutes or so.
Well, we're just getting started.
Yeah, buddy.
There is so much to talk about this morning.
Almost too much.
I mean, really. We will we'll get into what happened last night. There's so much to happen last night. But we will talk about basically everything from the week. We'll talk about the Celtics getting sold or about to get sold. We'll talk about the Red Sox trade deadline discussion. Alex Cora had some, I think interesting might be stretching it, but interesting in that they were not particularly interesting comments. So we will get to that and talk about what direction that they should go. We'll get into a little bit of Bruins and Patriots this morning. We'll touch on a little bit of everything. But the entire week is on the table if you want to call us at 617-779-0985. It's Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton with you here on a Friday morning.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Ryan from 128, and one of the things that
Did you catch a game last night?
All right, back here on Toucher and Hardy, Ryan Johnston with Nick Cattles and Kendra Middleton here on this Friday morning. God bless you if you were up at 6:23 on a July 5th.
More cars than I anticipated on the road driving in, though. I will say that. Not that there were a ton, but there were more than I anticipated.
Yeah, I'm trying to honestly, I barely remember the drive-in. There wasn't a whole lot in my way, so good on them.
Yes.
For that. But yeah, it was one of those I was definitely on autopilot this morning. All right, so what happened last night? Oh yeah, they set off a bunch of fireworks. The Pops played their 1812 overture, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I watched CNN. They had this live rolling thing where you just watched. I saw the fireworks in D.C., then they showed them in New York City. They had Philly, and then I guess it kept going, but I was fireworked out by then. But it went all the way to the West Coast.
Can somebody explain to me why the Boston show can't get better talent?
No. I don't know if they want to. I was watching that last night, too. I popped that on the Bloomberg channel because I heard Seven was having some technical issues, so I popped it on to Bloomberg, and honestly, I almost fell asleep. I'm like, I got to move on.
There's I'm trying to remember who they even had.
I mean, great talent. A woman who was they're Tony Award winning.
Yeah, they're all talented people.
Yeah,
I'm talking about people that I don't know might move the needle just a little bit.
Yeah,
nothing against the Tony Award winner, but
I just can't get into the Yankee Doodle Dandy medley and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm out on it.
I mean, maybe most celebrities are I don't know, I'm working 4th of July. I'm going to be on a boat somewhere, or I'm out on tour somewhere. But I flipped on the PBS show. They had Alfonso Ribeiro. Alfonso Ribeiro. Do you even know who Alfonso?
I was gonna say, who the hell is that?
That dude is on speed dial.
Carlton from Fresh Prince.
Okay.
You know
I know
who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Doing a song and dance. I flipped that on for 5 minutes, and it's he's doing a song and dance number, which, I mean, okay, the guy's always been able to dance, but he's kind of got that lounge singery vibe. It wasn't exactly awe-inspiring for the 4th of July. I flipped on the CNN thing for a little bit too last night. They had Gavin DeGraw was performing, I think.
You guys didn't watch Copa America?
No. It was not on my list. Sorry.
I will say I sat through most of the England game in the Euro last weekend. It was actually pretty fun.
I'm proud
watch.
of you. I'll give you points for that.
I don't dislike soccer. I really don't. It's a nice thing to put on in the background when you're not paying attention to it, because you get I love same thing I love about the British Open or whatever. You get the accent, just kind of somebody speaking softly in a British or an Australian accent. It's okay, this I can take a nap to this. That's it, but that's about where I'm at generally with soccer.
Yeah, I'm pretty much strictly World Cup. I mean, I'll go Revs, maybe I'll check it out. I want to go check it out. You and I talked about this. I got to go to a Revs match.
I just was surprised because Messi was on. I figured one of the two of you might be watching.
No. I worked on Wednesday night, and then I worked this morning, and I worked tomorrow. So yesterday I tried to stay away from sports, at least for the most of the day and night.
Good for you.
Try to dedicate it to my wife, which
Good
I'm sure
for
she was
you.
thrilled with. But yeah. So try to stay away for a few hours.
Well, let's talk about what you missed yesterday then.
Nice.
Because the Red Sox get a sweep? A sweep? We'll talk about their prospects coming up in a little bit, but let's talk about yesterday, where this was an absolute gem from Nick Pivetta yesterday. Was flirting with a no-hitter. 7 innings, gave up 1 hit, walked 2, struck out 10. But the Sox were only up 2-0 when he left the game. Marlins come back, get it tied up. We go to extra innings, and that's where we pick up with Jarren Duran, saving the game in the ninth inning first just to get to extras.
Up the middle, base hit into center field. Duran charging it, runner trying to score. Here's the throw home, a play at the plate. He is out at home.
He gone.
Duran cuts him down.
I actually saw that. So I stayed away from sports 99% of the day. I randomly, before we left to go to the bar for a couple of hours, I randomly had it on Nessun. I was watching something on YouTube. I flipped over to the old HDMI input, and it picked up right there in the ninth inning with Jansen on the mound. So I actually watched the bottom of the ninth and like the top of the 10th and then some of the bottom of the 10th. I thought he was safe, by the way. I don't know if that's a controversial take, but I thought he got his right hand right in between the wickets of McGuire. I thought he got his hand in there, but they reviewed it and said,
It was tough to say. It was tough to tell.
It
I was
was.
kind of with you. It looked like, it was like he didn't quite have the whole plate blocked. It just looked like he might have snuck in there, but
He gone.
wow, stealing from Hawk Harrelson.
Yeah, easy, Will.
But yeah, they did review it. Ended up being out at the plate, and so that got it into extra innings, where the Red Sox put up a pair in the top of the 11th, gave up a pair in the bottom of the 11th, and on to the 12th, where Tyler O'Neill came through.
Run in and man at third, 2 down. And Andrews home with a 2-2. And one driven toward the alley. There's nobody out there. Onto the grass, up against the wall. Another run is in. Third hit today for Tyler O'Neill. Once again, the Red Sox lead by 2, 6-4. He smoked it.
Yeah, that's a frozen rope.
Frozen rope. 6-5 ended up being the finals. The Marlins get one in the bottom of the 12th, but Red Sox end up finishing off the sweep. Back to Nick Pivetta, flirting with a no-hitter yesterday.
You get as close as that. Is there a little sense of disappointment when you're unable?
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing. I mean, I wouldn't say extremely. It's disappointing. It's part of it. It's an extremely hard sport to play. Guys get on base. Sanchez, right? He took a good swing on a fastball, 0-0 count, and hats off to him. He put a good swing on it, and it's part of it. But, I think more important today is that we pulled off a win today as a team, and I think that was really good.
What kind of question is that? Was it disappointing losing the no-hitter? No, not at all. It was great.
Well, it's extremely disappointing. No, I don't want to say extremely disappointing. Just disappointing.
I love being so close and losing it. It was a great time. You know what would have been better if I got to the ninth with an almost no-hitter?
It's extremely disappointing. I mean, I wouldn't say extremely.
No, you could say extremely. It's fine, Nick. It's fine. We get it. I'd be extremely disappointed.
I'd be extremely disappointed. You know what? It's like, okay, yeah, so, he took a no-hitter, 7 innings. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But I'd be more disappointed that I struck out 10 and gave up 1 hit in 7 innings, and I got a no decision out of it, guys. Thanks for that.
I remember, I remember when Pedro against Tampa had like a perfect game going into the ninth, I think it was, and he hit Gerald Williams. I think it was Gerald Williams with a fastball up and in, and just that ended that bid. And then I remember watching Schilling against, I think it was Oakland, fastball outside corner. Shannon Stewart hits it right opposite field for a single with I think it was 2 outs in the 8th. I remember those moments, and I wasn't even pitching. Imagine if I was Schilling or Pedro, I'd look back at those games, and they would irritate me to the day I die. I'd be like, I was so close to throwing a perfect game. I was so close to throwing a no-hitter, and I fell short. That would piss me off. That would bother me forever. Just a few more pitches,
forever.
Ryan. Just a couple more, Kendra. Just a couple more strikes.
Nick bouncing his grandkids on his knee, 50 years later. Can't believe. Can you believe?
Grandpa's mad again.
Watching their Little League games.
Listen, Timmy. You didn't have a chance at a no-hitter. You might get it one day. I'd be upset.
All right. Kendra's going to give us some Sports Hub headlines when we come back. I mean, the real main event on any July 4th. The Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, which I will preview and say was much better viewing this year than it has been in years past. So we will talk about that. Coming up next, Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton with you here on a Friday morning.
Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The dogs.
Nothing against David Pasternak, but Barbie Girl, this Macarena.
That I'm Blue song, so good. That was the same era.
Yeah. Although I look at that one, I mean, they've brought that one back around, right?
Yeah, but see, like, Kendra looks at these songs differently than we look at these songs.
Yeah, she didn't
Like,
live. She didn't live through.
Yeah,
this.
it's like retro for Kendra. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Right.
it's cool. It's a cool classic. But in the moment, like when it's coming out in Rugrats in Paris on the soundtrack, which I just had to look up, that's how it became popular. It was Rugrats in Paris, the movie.
When I was in college, I had a bunch of guys on my dorm floor who were from Miami, so I went down to visit them during.
Don't like Miami.
You've said that twice now.
Yeah, out on Miami. I've been there a couple times. Out.
It's fine in short spurts. It's, you know.
A lot of bright colors.
Yeah.
A lot of hair gel. A lot of people trying to be people they're not. A lot of the stink. A little bit of a scent.
So I went down.
Not a fan.
I went down to during winter vacation to spend a few days down in Miami.
Yeah.
Hang out with my friends. Go out. You know, have a good time. Did New Year's down there. At the talk about you want to make.
See, that's not terrible.
I'll feel old.
That's not.
Well,
terrible.
you don't know what we went to Planet Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Right when Planet Hollywood
Ryan
was
Johnston
a thing,
had it happening in Planet Hollywood.
there were rumors that Sly was going to show up.
Oh.
There were rumors that Madonna was going to show up, and they may have. But surprisingly enough, they didn't hang out with the great unwashed who were paying $60 a head to get in for New Year's that
Come
night.
on, man. I thought Sly would make a beeline right to you and your group. Who's that? Who's that guy? I got to hang out with that guy right now.
Yeah. So, but like, it was a good time. But while I was down there,
Yeah.
it was, and this will age me quite a bit, the Macarena was just hitting in Miami. It hadn't made it to the rest of the country yet.
That song was so hot back in the day.
And it was like, in the moment, I looked around the nightclub as people are doing this dance, and I went, what the hell are we? What is our country becoming? Because I just knew it's like this is going to be huge, and I don't get it at all.
It came out in '93.
Yeah, because this would have been so. When I was in Miami, it was 94, turning into 95 would have been.
All right.
So it had been out for a little while, but nobody knew it. But in Miami, it was huge. Everybody knew the dance already.
It's like the this, right?
Yeah.
And the shoulders.
Did you know
And
you
the
can do
hips.
that to any song just because it's an 8 count? You can do the Macarena to literally any song.
We should test this out.
I
Ryan Beaton, where are you
have-
at? We should just
I
play
have-
any song and see if Kendra could do the Macarena.
I have.
to it.
In so many clubs, I swear to God, it is tested.
I need to see it. Though.
Okay.
I don't believe it until
All
I
right.
see it.
All right, you ready?
Here she goes.
Wait, there's no beat. I
Oh, what
can't.
happened? There it is. Yeah. All right.
You can do it to anything, I'm telling you.
Not anything.
Yes.
No.
It's an 8 count.
If you played like a death metal, you couldn't do it to that.
I don't know. You could try me.
Ryan, try. You got death metal back there, buddy?
All right. Yesterday, Nick,
Yes.
Kendra, did anybody watch the hot dog eating contest?
Yes.
No.
I did. I watched it.
Why?
Because it's so fun to
You know
No,
why?
it's not.
You know why
Why is
I
it
watched
fun
it?
to watch somebody like shovel wet bread and hot dogs
It's
down their
America.
gullet? Great.
It is stomach turning. It really is.
America.
It's probably the first time in say 5 or 6 years that I've watched it
gross.
though, because I wanted to see the level of competition without Joey Chestnut.
It is my Super Bowl. I watch it every year.
Like
Even when Chestnut's in it, I don't watch it.
well, see, I didn't. I gave up watching it because Chestnut's
'Cause he
in
was
it,
so dominant.
Because it was like who's going to win.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like the odds on it are like minus 8,000 that Chestnut's going to win this thing. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
He's gonna lap the field. Yesterday, I'm like, there should be kind of all these kind of secondary people are right around the same level. There should be some competition, and there was a little drama in there. Plus, it looked like the guy who won it was on the verge of losing it for the last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had, pieces of wet bun just hanging out of the front of his mouth.
It's awful.
Would your strategy be to go try and like get as many as like go super hard in the beginning, or would you try and just be steady throughout? Because I feel like I'd have to go super hard.
Wait, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, Ryan. You watch it. I don't. Maybe steady. I don't know.
Do you think that
Steady
professional
wins the
eating
race?
is a sport? Because it's on ESPN. Embrace debate.
I tell you what, these guys are in pretty good shape.
I mean, I guess
some
you
of
got to
them.
condition yourself
there's
for it.
like the one guy had some huge guns on him.
I did watch.
Like, how are you training that much and then going in and eating 50 hot dogs
It's
in a
Gizzy
sitting?
season.
They did like a. Didn't they do like a 30 for 30? I watched the whole Kobayashi Chestnut 30 for 30 special.
Yeah.
From ESPN. I did watch that because I am interested in like how these people approach this in their mindset, but I don't find it entertaining. Like, if you walked into a restaurant and there was a random person there just shoveling hot dogs down their gullet, is that entertaining to you? Would you sit there and watch them in the restaurant? You would?
Yes. I'd pay to watch that.
All right.
I would pay
I'm
$20
I'm
cover.
not passing judgment. It's not necessarily for me.
If you told me that I could pay a $20 cover to go watch some dude gobble glizzies at like the Burin in Davis Square, yes.
It should be like a business plan. I should open up a business. Just get competitive eaters to come hang out.
Have you ever
Friday
been in
night.
a place where there's like a
like an eating
challenge?
contest? Yeah. I used to have one at my bar down in Virginia Beach for like a year or two.
What was the challenge?
I think it was like you had to have like the full nacho and a couple of other things. It was like the first year or two we opened.
You can't do nachos for something like that because I feel like I would choke on that. At least a hot dog's like soft.
I don't think it wasn't like a time thing though. Like you could just, you could take your time. You didn't have to go crazy.
I'm too stupid to
It wasn't
eat
eat the
chips.
nacho in 2 minutes.
See, I knew a guy who had to. He tried doing it was like a 5-pound meatloaf sandwich or something like that. I mean, it was
Hell
literally,
yeah.
which
I was thinking of the great outdoors.
And yeah, exactly. Well, he basically went into training. And he's making meat like bigger and bigger meatloafs, kind of getting himself ready for it. Because the trick was, if you ate the whole thing in like 30 minutes, the whole table ate for free.
See, that's not bad. Like the whole eat this much for like a T-shirt. Do you really want the T-shirt?
Well, it's
bragging rights.
Yeah, it's a trophy at that point, right? I mean, this
Do
is
you
something
walk around with the T-shirt though? Like you honestly put that on? You go to family outings with it? Like,
Nick, have you seen how many people have this car climb Mount Washington on their
Yes.
car? Like
It's a badge of honor.
People will
that's on a
absolutely be
car,
wearing
though.
that shirt.
Like, it's a bumper sticker. Like, you put the T-shirt.
Yeah, but
on
it's
and
also
walk around with it.
yeah, but it's really also not much of a of an accomplishment. How many
I'd frame
cars
it.
have gone up Mount Washington over?
I'd rather frame it. I'd like frame the T-shirt.
It depends what I ate.
How many hot dogs? how many hot dogs have you eaten in like a single sitting?
I've had one hot dog in my whole life.
Oh, that's right. You said this to me. Yeah, she told me this in the production room like a week ago before we went on the air, and I was shocked. She's like, I've had one hot dog. I'm like, hold on. You've had a hot dog?
One hot dog.
So you didn't enjoy it then?
No,
But you just love watching people suck them down.
I also love the idea of a hot dog.
You love the idea.
I love the idea of a hot dog.
The execution,
Do you love hot
not
dogs?
so much.
I don't love
apparently.
hot dogs. I love the idea of the hot dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's nothing I like better than going to Fenway and checking out the idea of a hot dog.
Please tell me you're pro ketchup.
What, on a hot dog?
Yeah.
No.
What?
Are you, 4?
He was so disgusted.
He just cooked you. He just roasted you.
I don't care. He can cook me all he wants. Ketchup on a hot dog is completely normal activity.
Yeah, but the ketchup at
For
Fenway
a child,
last
it is
year,
completely
Why
normal.
for a child? I love ketchup. I put ketchup on a bunch of stuff.
I don't
love it.
I don't even put ketchup on fries.
So you're just
What do you-
anti-ketchup.
what- Whoa. I need your sauce rundown.
My sauce rundown?
Yeah.
Obviously,
what
ketchup is
goes
nowhere
on,
near the
what
top.
goes on the hot dog, and what are you dipping your fries in?
So mustard on the hot dog.
Just mustard?
I'll do mustard. I'll do relish.
Okay.
A good Chicago dog
Relish
is phenomenal. But yeah, generally, like if I'm doing hot dogs, like I'm just a little mustard is fine.
Get out.
All right, what do you put on the fries?
This is gonna get a
Are
laugh.
you going to say mayonnaise?
Aioli. Not mayonnaise, Kendra. Aioli.
Aioli.
Yes.
What kind of aioli?
But do you eat dry fries if that's not an option?
Oh, sure. If they're good, if they're good fries, yeah, absolutely. But yesterday, for instance,
Brother,
did a little.
I'm so pro ketchup. It's not funny. Put ketchup on everything.
Did a little barbecue yesterday. Made some burn ends, and we made tater tots, nice crispy tater tots, with a garlic lemon aioli on them.
How do you not have ketchup with tater tots?
Because you haven't tried the garlic lemon aioli.
I couldn't say that 10 times quick. No shot.
Might not even get to 5, let alone 10.
I don't think I could do 2.
Try it. You're like just anti-ketchup, huh? You just woke up one day. I'm out on ketchup. You just made this.
You know what? Ketchup, it's fine, but it's not.
Do you like tomatoes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You know what I could eat by the bucket?
But ketchup isn't really it doesn't taste like tomatoes.
I respect that more.
It tastes like vinegar. It tastes like some of the other stuff that's in it. It's not really. I mean, it's based with tomatoes, but it doesn't taste like tomatoes.
I respect that take. Because if you didn't like tomatoes, I would tell you to grow up. But you do like tomatoes and you don't like ketchup, so that's kind of baller, RJ.
Again, I don't. It's
snob.
not that I dislike ketchup.
He's a food snob.
I'll take that. I'm fine.
That's what he is. Food
Are you
snob.
a picky eater?
Yeah, kind of. But just because my stomach is just not great with anything.
Oh, tummy troubles.
Yeah.
Have you seen the memes that are like, I survived today's tummy ache? Is that you?
Like, I haven't had fast food in like 20 years. At least, if not longer. Like, no fast food goes into this.
But you eat hot dogs?
Very seldomly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mow them down 3 at a time like the guy was yesterday? Because that's impressive.
What I was.
Usually you see people doing 2 at a time. This guy had 3 going in at a time like a wood chipper.
That's why I asked Kendra, well, how many hot dogs in a single sitting? Like, I could have like 2, maybe 3. Imagine eating 50. Like, no.
How many calories is that?
Oh, the answer is too many. Death.
Forget about the calories.
You know what the calorie
Forget
count
about
is?
the calories.
Death.
It is a stroke-inducing amount of sodium.
Yes.
Like, that's the biggest.
It is death.
There's only 151 calories in a hot dog.
Depends on what kind of dogs you get, but yeah.
Hold on, let me look it up.
Kendra's now she's gonna, like, the next time I do a show with Kendra, she's gonna be like, I've had 55 hot dogs since the last show. I had 1 my entire life, but the last 3 weeks,
all right,
55.
If you were to eat 50 hot dogs with buns, no sauce, that's just over 17,000 calories.
Is that like Michael Phelps' daily diet?
That seems low.
Swimming?
You think that's low?
It seems like 17,000 calories for 50 hot dogs. That seems low. Plus the buns.
That's without ketchup, though.
Yeah, you're probably adding like 1,000 calories.
See, to me,
ketchup.
like the worst part of the contest is the fact that they dunk the buns. Like
wet bread freaks me out.
Soggy bread is like the worst thing.
You know what the
ever.
worst part of the contest is? The contest. The entire thing.
So do you have what many people may not know who didn't see it? On the undercard yesterday.
Can you stop at the undercard?
There was an undercard.
A championship fight?
Yes, they're giving away championship belts.
This is disrespectful
on the
to UFC.
On the undercard
boxing,
yesterday.
The undercard. What they have? Twinkies?
Lemonade chugging.
Yeah, I saw the guy. He's like
Eric
700
Badlands
pounds.
Booker.
He sucked down a pitcher of lemonade.
Badlands Booker, who used to be like one of the main competitors for Joey Chestnut, but he would fall like, halfway of Chestnut's number.
Badlands Booker, is that?
Badlands Booker.
Okay.
He chugged a gallon of lemonade in like 21 seconds yesterday. Broke his own record. The guy next to him got half the gallon down in about the same amount of time, and then proceeded to projectile boot it all over the stage.
See, that's just like the grossest thing ever.
It was disgusting.
Why do I want to be there and witness
the reaction of the crowd, like the
I hope it becomes a meme.
Groan that came out. Oh, it's yeah.
I'm gonna go find it and make a meme out of it.
The undercard.
The undercard.
The balls you have to puke in front of America on its birthday.
I don't think.
But not only just
intentionally did it though. I mean,
but there was no shame in his game at all. Like because
of course not. They're in an eating contest. None of those people have.
Well,
shame.
technically they're drinking.
But
he's in a drinking contest.
But most normal human beings, Nick, would if it starts to come out, would then at least turn around and go for a bucket or something like that. Not this guy. He just stood there, hands on the table, let it go, then turned around, let's make a little puddle back here.
See,
like he was in no
Why
rush
not?
to.
Why not?
But you,
And the best part was Badlands Booker, who just set a world record. He's got championship belts draped on over both shoulders. Walks over to his competitor, kind of puts a hand on his shoulder, like, "That's all right, man. Just let it all out.
Imagine getting
Go ahead."
little Boyd after vomiting everywhere, just being like, "It's okay, little boy."
See, you started the whole thing by saying a normal person. That's just stop there. Like they're not normal. They might be great people, but there has to be something in your head that, like Kendra said, you have no shame. You could just vomit. You're just shoving wet bread.
Oh, dude. No. Please don't do that.
Why?
On a Friday morning.
Dutcher and Hardy, the reviews are in.
I guess they don't want to talk about you. Give me about 5 minutes of my time.
What he said. Now more of on the Sports Hub.
Basically anything that's happened this week. Bruins went through free agency, added some good pieces. Did they add the right pieces? We've got the Celtics up for sale, kind of out of nowhere. Catch you by surprise a little bit?
Yeah. Especially when it was announced. Like 2 weeks after winning a title, oh, by the way, Wick is selling.
Basically on the same day they signed Tatum to a $300+ million contract, right?
And Derek White. Poor Derek White just got totally overshadowed. Yeah.
The timing of it was odd.
Do you think they already have something done? Like, there are people that think a deal is already kind of planned out, and that's why it was announced as quickly as it was. Other people think that it's not as planned.
Well, the details of it that they put out in the team statement kind of make me think that maybe they do know where this is going, just because of the, like Wick is going to kind of sell down his portion over the course of the next 4 years, and he won't be done until 2028. He's going to stay on as the managing partner until then. It's like, well, if Jeff Bezos parachutes in today and offers him $6 billion, it's like, Wick, you're not running the team for the next 4 years. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. Like the whole tiered buying the team thing, that has not worked in Minnesota. And they're in arbitration right now because that deal ended up becoming a mess. They were buying the team in phases instead of just one lump sum. That hasn't gone well. I don't know if Adam Silver would be just perfectly fine with that idea given the Minnesota situation. And we also should remember, the Mavericks, when Mark Cuban sold the team, the idea was that Cuban was going to stay on and be in charge of the basketball operation, and already that's been stripped.
Right.
So, people can say what they want and they can write what they want in a statement. Whether or not it gets executed in that way is a completely different thing.
It's also convenient that it's all kind of aligning with the rest of this team's contract structure. Like, a lot of these guys will be either their last season currently with their contracts, or either the year before he's going to sell or the year he does sell.
Well, I heard, Felger and a lot of other people talking about Wick, and it's true. Wick, when you look at his money, he ain't basketball owner rich.
Right.
As Conor McGregor said, there are levels to this. And when Wick walks in, and you can look at it, some sites say 400 million, other sites say $1 billion, whatever it is. If he walks in with $1 billion, Steve Ballmer is worth more than $150 billion. Like that Wick walks in and his billion means nothing in Steve Ballmer's world.
Hey, broke boy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like,
hey, can you park my car for me?
Yeah. It's like me walking into a conversation with somebody who makes like, $1 million a year, 500 grand, 750. I mean, it's a different world. And the Steve Ballmers can go, oh yeah, I'll drop like $4 billion on an arena because it's literally pocket change. Wick can't do that. Wick doesn't have $4 billion to drop on an arena. So it's not that he's crying poor, but when you're in the NBA with, the local networks not getting as much revenue as they used to, with the penalties and taxes now as exorbitant as they are in that league, you're going against other guys who are worth 50, 60, $100 billion, and you're worth a half a bill, three-quarters of a bill. How can you keep up? And this is not like, let's praise Wick because he's selling the team. But honestly, like, Wick could be looking at this saying,
sell high.
Yeah, that number one, sell high. Also, number two, Ryan, hey, man, look, I don't want to be the owner of this team because I know I can't handle what's coming down the road. Like, I cannot financially handle, and I think when they mentioned the estate in the statement,
yeah,
it's part of that, and it's also, and I know Felger's done a great job of bringing this up over the years, Wick's dad is the one that really bought this team. He's the one that had really the controlling interest, and he's 89, 90 years old. So I know Bill Simmons and others have thrown this out there, and I don't think it's a crazy idea. Wick's dad might have said, enough's enough. Like, I'm 89, 90 years old. We just won a championship. I want my piece of the pie. Let's cash out. That could be the whole estate part of the statement. But it is a difficult situation for Wick. You don't have the arena. You don't own the arena. You're not making a ton of money locally off of NBC Sports Boston and the games and the rights for
But he'll
those.
make so much money off this.
Oh yeah, he's gonna. I mean, it's a perfect sale for him. It's a perfect time for that.
I meant this championship. Like, he's gonna make a ton of money off of this.
Yeah, but that money's already spent.
Yeah, I mean,
like anything that, like any profit that they might make off of anything is going to be right out the door for the next 4 or 5 years as you're paying massive luxury tax bills. That's why when you talk about kind of Grossbeck's overall financial picture, it was difficult to imagine that he was going to be able to pay the luxury tax bill with these contracts. And it's like, how is he going to do this?
Yeah.
Because, it's like, it's one thing if you do have Bezos money,
right?
And you go, all right, so if we lose $50 million this year, no big deal. We're going to make that up in, when we sell the team in 10, 20 years. The way that Grossbeck is, I mean, they bought the team for $360 million.
I know, it's crazy.
And they're going to sell it for probably close to $5. And if there's a bidding war, it might go beyond that.
Insane. And you look at the rest of the league. This is what's happening, folks. Cuban sells. Taylor, Minnesota's trying to sell, right? And then you look at Charlotte. Michael Jordan got out because Jordan saw this, and Jordan's not basketball owner rich. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have $50 billion. And MJ was like, yo, I love running the ship in Charlotte, even though I've done a terrible job of it. But I love but I'm out. I'm not spending hundreds of millions of dollars of my own money on taxes and penalties. I'm out. MJ sold. Now you've got Wick selling. This is going to continue to happen. Look at what happened in free agency this week. Like, the Clippers lost Paul George to Philly because Steve Ballmer, again, who's worth more than $150 billion, they did not want to give Kawhi or Paul George the 4th year on that max contract. That's why they lost George, because they were not willing to give him that extra year. And that's somebody who's worth literally like 100 times what Wick Grossbeck is worth. And he's like, nah, man, I'm offering you a 3-year deal. If you want to go to Philly for your max, go do it, Paul. And they drew the hard line. Look at Denver. Denver let Kentavious Caldwell-Pope go to Orlando because they did not want to pay the money that it would cost them to keep KCP. And they've got Jokic in the prime of his career. And they let one of their best role players leave because of money.
I do wonder, and this goes back to when they announced that Cuban was selling the Mavericks. Like, one of Cuban's things is pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, right? He's talked about the NFL with that.
Yep.
When they announced that, my first take on it was, does he think that the bubble is getting ready to pop? Right? Does he think like these franchises, the values are spiraling out of? I mean, so they're paying $4 billion for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Like, you're paying $1 billion plus just to get into the NHL at this point.
Yeah.
Right? How much can these really get to? And now that, there's this NFL lawsuit that could cost them, $14 billion by the time it's all done. Like, literally every team putting out, checks for hundreds of millions of dollars. I do kind of wonder if we're not seeing the owners look around and go, it's probably not going to get much better than this. Like, theoretically, how much more could the Celtics possibly be worth if you waited another 4 or 5 years? Are you going to get $10 billion for it? I mean, eventually there's even rich people look at it, like uber wealthy people look at it and go, yeah, it's probably just not worth it.
And think about it this way,
there's only
too.
so many concerts I can have if I build my own arena. Like, I'm not going to make this money back.
No, you're not. And think about it this way. If you're competitive, and we know Wick is competitive, he's there on the floor every night of a home game. He travels with the team at times. He is as competitive as any owner. You get punished. You get punished by the NBA if you keep winning. You're trying to build the best team you can build. Now you've got to deal with taxes. Then, with the new CBA, they're now penalizing you via the draft. They're handcuffing you. You can't do all these different – you can't trade multiple guys for one guy, combining those contracts. There's all these stipulations if you're beyond the apron, right? So now you're getting punished basketball-wise. You're getting punished monetarily. And if you're Wick and you build this team and you spend for this team, guess what, Ryan and Kendra? You're going to get screwed. because the best games are not going to be carried by your local television station. They're not going to be carried by the RSN. So the Celtics, they could have, 35, 40 games on national television next year because of what they did this year? Well, all of those games that get kicked off of NBC Sports Boston, that's hurting Wick. That's hurting your local ownership because those games are now going to the bigger picture of the NBA.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, to be completely transparent, do not give a crap about rich people. I don't. That's not who my concern is in this situation. But my concern is from a fan perspective. And the thing is that you now have the best, without a doubt, owner in town selling. That's bad news for fans.
And it's the NBA. They're pushing out some of these owners. The owners that bought in years ago, like Ryan brought up, for a few $100 million, Michael Jordans and Wicks and Cubans and those guys who bought their teams, they're now looking at it, and like you said, Ryan, they're looking at the money they can make off this sale. You mentioned it too, Kendra, the money that Wick can make off of this sale, and he's looking at it and he's like, for the next 5 years, yeah, we can win, but I'm literally going to lose tens upon tens upon tens of millions of dollars, and they're punishing us for trying to put the best team together.
And John Henry gets to sit here and spend no money. It's
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, that's the bigger question that people have been asking all week is, would John Henry be interested?
Yeah.
Would Fenway Sports Group be interested? Would Bob Kraft be interested? Would the Jacobs be interested?
I don't think that it would be good. See, if I'm a fan and I'm sitting here, I don't think it's a good thing if John Henry or the Krafts are interested because I don't need them cheaping out on two of my teams.
I feel like the Jacobs have been kind of left out of this conversation. I mean, Delaware North's got some pretty deep pockets.
Yeah.
$4 billion in annual revenue.
Do they want the project, though? That's the question.
But here's the thing. They're going to lose money in all this, right? Ultimately, the Celtics are a tenant in their building. I think most people believe that whoever ends up buying the Celtics is going to want to build their own building to increase the value of the franchise, to increase the amount of revenue, to be able to put on their own events and get all their own advertising dollars and all of that. So would the Jacobs family look at it and say, it's going to cost us a lot of money to be operating a building basically for ourselves. Maybe this might be worth it. There was a quote in the paper the other day from Charlie Jacobs saying, yeah, I'd love to own another team. Now, this was from before the Celtics made the announcement, whatever, but he was asked, would you guys ever, want to own another sports team? And he said, yeah, I'd love to.
Then maybe there was that conversation with Wick.
Could be.
The one thing about the Jacobs, and you could really say this about all the owners around here, which is good. The one thing, if it was kept in-house as far as if it was Kraft or even if it was Henry Henry a little different because he has kind of stepped in and given some restrictions, but these owners at least let the operation run the operation.
Right.
Like Cam Neely, Sweeney, they run the Bruins hockey side.
Right.
The Krafts are letting Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo run the football side. They let Belichick run the football side. And even Henry, he lets his guys do their thing. So the one good thing, the one silver lining out of any local group, if they wanted to add the Celtics to the portfolio, so to speak, is that I would feel pretty confident that Brad Stevens would still be the guy calling the shots, which is obviously a very good thing for the Celtics.
People would riot if he wasn't.
The other question is, does Stevens want to stay if Wick goes? Wick was one of the driving forces of talking to Brad at the time, and Brad's told the story that, Ainge had talked to him about it, and they were talking to other people. Ownership kind of circled back with Brad, and they were one of the major reasons why Brad got the gig, because Wick and Steve Pagliuca believed that Brad would be perfect for the job, and they were comfortable with that idea. So, right now, the Celtics are a well-oiled machine when it comes to ownership, down to front office, down to coaching staff. And the hope, obviously, is none of that gets junked up by this sale.
All right, 617-779-0985. We can take your calls coming up next. Ryan Johnston with, what's your name again? Nick Cattles. That's right. And Kendra Middleton here on a Friday morning, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Josh is in the car. What's going on, Josh?
Good morning, everybody. How we doing?
Good.
Yeah, you know what? With the Celtics sale, you know, hey, I'm super happy for Wick. I mean, you can turn a $300 million investment into $5 billion. Like, good for you. You know. So one interesting and one scary potential owner, though, where you kind of start to, you know, again, how does this affect me, the fan? I don't know if you guys saw the BBC article over the weekend that Bezos is liquidating $5 billion worth of shares. The number was intriguing. So again, somebody that has that much money to use it as a toy would be great. Do we then at some point also have to, as a country, come to grips with at some point the PIF is going to get involved in here? How scary does that look for us?
Yeah, so that those are two things that are kind of out there. The Bezos thing, I think I saw the other day that people think he might be after the Seahawks. That maybe that, but
that would
but
make
again,
sense.
He doesn't have to pay cash. Like when you're Jeff Bezos, like you put together investors, you're basically kind of a public company at that point anyway. You don't need to sell $5 billion worth of Amazon stock to cut a $5 billion check to buy a team. Like you same way you buy a house, like you borrow the money.
Yeah,
and you
that's
get it
why.
for nothing.
Some people are saying, "Oh well, Pags doesn't have the money to." I mean, he's co-chairman at Bain Capital. He's got a lot of friends that have a lot of money, and he does pretty well for himself, too. So, and let's not forget, if it is Pags is only going to buy a certain amount of shares from Wick because he already owns part of the team. Right. So he's not having.
You just have to have more than everybody else,
right? He doesn't have to freight the entire bill. He already has a certain amount invested. So if it's I got to come up with $2 to $3 billion instead of the $5 billion, he can. I think he can do that. And to me, that is the obvious best case scenario for the Celtics. If Pags keeps it, they keep it in-house. He has the relationship with everybody in the building. He's a basketball guy. He's going to care. He tried to, get in on the Nets a few years ago. So he has an interest in being, the main investor in an NBA team. That would be the perfect thing. As far as, the Saudis and all of that, I just think people fear the unknown. And I get it, but we have no idea. The next owner of this team might be as good, might be even better than Wick. We have no clue. We don't know how deep their pockets are going to be, what their approach is, their philosophy. Everybody tends to lean towards the negative when something like this happens, what happens if the Saudis buy 30%? I just think look in-house to start, and then we'll see who is actually bidding on this, because it could be actually a good thing for the Celtics. It could be an owner that's buying and knows, hey, I got to spend a ton of money because that's what it's going to take to compete in the NBA.
I almost kind of wish that Dana White had the money.
Oh, God.
I think that would be so fun.
Oh,
and,
God.
he loves the team. That would be fun. And he would keep Brad around. There's no doubt he would keep Brad around. But if he could invest with somebody else, I mean, I don't think it'd be the worst thing.
I don't want an owner who wants to have press conferences for himself. And Dana White would want to have. It'd be like Jerry Jones owning your team. It's I want to talk to the media directly. I'm good with John Henry doesn't talk to the media ever.
Yeah.
Right. You never hear from him. Even when major things are happening, he's not around. That's too far absentee.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go in the other direction where the owner's it's about me. Everybody pay attention to me.
That's the one thing about Pags. Pags is not afraid of the microphone. He loves himself some microphone.
See, you guys are fans. I just crave chaos. I'm thinking whatever makes my job easier and gives me something to talk about on the radio, let's do it.
Well, you could still have chaos with a good owner, especially in that league. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? The thing that nobody wants to talk about, and we probably shouldn't talk about it until a year from now, but enjoy it right now. That's what I'll say. I think some Celtics fans, and I get it because the CBA, it causes your eyes to glaze over and you to fall asleep because there's so many ridiculous details and minutia. But the fact is, no matter who the owner of this basketball team is going to be, there are going to be some big-time decisions having to be made. And they're going to have to cut some guys from this team. They're going to have to trade some guys. They're going to have to trade some salary. That's if Wick's here, if it's Bezos, if it's the Saudis, if it's Dana White, if whoever it is, no matter who it is, they're going to have to make some very difficult decisions after the upcoming year. So let's celebrate Banner 18. Let's hope for the best next year and soak it in right now, because no matter who the owner is going to be, there's going to be some massive change after this next season.
Let's go to Mike and Webster up next with Johnston, Cattles, and Kendra. What's up?
Hi, team. How you doing?
Good.
it gets to a point where the monies are just getting ridiculous. And eventually, if someone spends $4 to $5 billion on a team, it's going to have to be passed on to the fans as far as ticket prices. And, the Bruins and the Celtics are very lucky that they have such a great fan base. I think the Bruins might be approaching 700 sellouts in a row or whatever. But it just gets ridiculous. But the question that I have for you guys is, what percentage of the ticket sales, the concessions, go to the Celtics, or is the majority of it go to the Bruins?
It depends on what you're talking about, I'm guessing. I'm sure this is all laid out in, a billion contracts and whatever about who gets a piece of, the concessions, who get, I assume the building gets most of, if not all of the concessions, especially since that's the Jacobs primary driver is as a hospitality company. So I'm guessing they get most of that. I'm sure there's some in-building advertising during Celtics games that the Celtics get the majority of that money, if not all of that money. But it's not the game itself or that stuff that's the primary driver of it. It's the same reason that when NFL teams are building new stadiums now, right? They want retractable roof. They want a dome because they want to be able to host concerts. They want to be able to host a Final Four.
A Super
They
Bowl.
want to be able to host WrestleMania, a Super Bowl. Yeah, because all of that brings in way more money than you're going to make just from selling tickets or selling T-shirts or whatever other advertising that you're making. That's where the biggest money is. And that also lumps in kind of the surrounding community too, which is the selling point and how you get all the tax benefits from building that stadium or get the taxpayers to pay for it. Is you go, okay, guess what? If we build this, I mean, Nick, you're a WWE guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
WWE just recently announced a deal with Indianapolis.
Yep.
Indianapolis, right? Not exactly a place that people are dying to go. Indianapolis is going to host a WrestleMania, a SummerSlam, and a Royal Rumble all within the next handful of years in their stadium.
It's the Midwest, though. That's kind of their demographic. I'll give them that.
No. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But
what
it's
are we
like
saying here?
You know exactly what I'm saying.
But
shot.
WrestleMania, like Vegas, SoFi, like places like that. You know, MetLife in New York. They had it in Philly this past year. Like
but
Indianapolis.
Is WWE in LA?
Can they put 80,000 people in there for back-to-back nights? Yes, they can.
Like the WWE is a pretty powerful company. Honestly, they're global.
I just more so mean I don't think the people of LA are going to watch WWE, but
I
people
think
probably
you're underestimating the
travel for
WWE.
it. People probably travel for it.
I think you underestimate the WWE.
Maybe.
I mean, they get sellouts constantly, 20,000 seat arenas, like constantly. So, you don't need to be, even if you're a niche. I mean, you don't need to be.
Those are like
swallowing
80,
the entire
100,000 seats.
Yeah, but they fill it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah,
and they not only that, but they'll do an arena. So here, let me just.
I was gonna say WWE at the Sphere might go crazy.
It wouldn't shock me if it happens. It would make a hell of a lot of sense, actually. But WrestleMania week has become literally a week-long thing where people take a week's vacation and go to the site, and they've got events all week long, and they've got an arena show on Friday night, a stadium show on Saturday, a stadium show on Sunday, another arena show on Monday, all in the same place. And these people come in and they buy tickets for all four. And they spend a week there in hotels. And it's a huge moneymaker for the entire city.
So crazy.
And so that's what they're going to do that 3 times in Indianapolis in the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and Indy pays them a fee. They pay them a certain amount of millions of dollars to have the events there. Because it obviously helps the city, because you've got over 100,000 people going to these events, and they're circulating, they're putting money into the bars and the restaurants and the hotels and local businesses. So the city's now bid for those events. But yeah, it's the outside events, like you're saying, Ryan. I mean, you're not making money off the parking, you're not making money off the concessions, you're not making money off of these outside of NBA events.
But when Bad Bunny comes to town. You want him to pay to rent your facility.
See, that I'm into.
Well, but that's again, whoever buys the Celtics likely is going to build a competing arena. And so now TD Garden, it's like, okay, when Bad Bunny comes to town, he doesn't just need the Garden, right? He can play the place in the Seaport, or he can play the place at the Peabody Dump, like they were talking about on Felger and Maz the other day. Like wherever that thing ends up being, now you got competition. And that's why I look at it and say, I mean, the Jacobs have to at least look at it, because that's a lot of potential money that they could lose in this deal just by having another arena in town.
I do agree with the caller, though. Like, eventually that's going to show up in ticket prices, concessions, all that crap. And everybody here knows it is a pain in the ass already to get into TD Garden.
You know, it's also another thing. I believe Holly was the one, or it might have been Chris Gasper. I saw one of those guys mention this on NBC Sports Boston, and it's a great point. You know, the Jacobs, so the lease at the TD Garden runs through 36. So you still have until 2036 before you can do anything, unless you can contractually break the lease, which we don't know. I'm not privy to that information. I've not seen the lease with my eyes. But the idea is, if they do build an arena, the Jacobs will stress it upon the city of Boston to make sure that arena is outside the city lines.
Right.
It's not going to be near the TD Garden because of what you're talking about, Ryan. This idea of, no, we still want those shows coming here, and we're not going to have this big fancy arena built within 10, 15 minutes of the – that's not going to work on our watch. So it'll be a very interesting, tug of war, so to speak, once this team gets sold, if it is to somebody that eventually wants to get their arena, which you have to imagine they would want an arena.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is just kind of how it goes. I mean, the same thing has happened in Philadelphia, where new owners took over the 76ers, and one of the first things they did is, like, we want to build an arena downtown.
Yep.
Like, away from the sports complex. We want to own it ourselves, and we want this to be, our own building, and we want to be able to pocket all the money that comes along with that.
As long as it's not in the suburbs like Gillette, man. I can't. Nobody, like, it's hard to get to Gillette.
Some of the suggestions people were making the other day, like, of where to put this thing. It's like, let's put it up in New Hampshire. No. Let's not.
Here's the take.
And then call them the Boston Celtics.
And I live up there, but let's not.
Here's the take. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If it's a good team, people are going to go see the team. We'll bitch about it. We'll complain about it. Oh, this area is not great. The traffic's bad.
You're
this
just
or
saying that because you live in the suburbs.
No, I mean, if you are a winning organization, people will go see you.
Yeah, but then there's no public transit to get to it, and it's like Boston's whole thing. The reason we don't have happy hour and all that stuff is because they don't want people drinking and driving. But you're gonna put 60, 70,000.
I totally get it, but that's a bigger issue though. I mean, everywhere there's traffic. Everywhere, it's a pain in the ass.
But you can take
we
public
are
transit.
Overpopulated. We
to
were
TD
overpopulated
Garden.
like 3 decades ago, and it's only getting worse. It's not going to get better. It's just not. We have to become accustomed to sitting in awful traffic. There are too many humans on Earth. That's the fact.
You know how you fix that? You take public transit to TD Garden.
Or just stop having a lot of babies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm anti-crotch fruit as well, but like whatever. That's not gonna stop. People are not gonna stop doing the thing.
I know. We should just, maybe instead of having a pack of 7 or 8, maybe just have 1 or 2. You know what I mean? The Phillip Rivers of the world, slow down.
Yeah, like, you gotta preach to the people where I'm from, though, not the people here.
Well, people move all around the country, unfortunately. They bring their kids, and they clog up the roads.
There's 7 or 8 kids in their
That's where
U-Hauls
we're at.
to the Celtics game up in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Too many humans, not enough roads. That's the problem, folks.
All right, let's get to headlines with Kendra. We've got more to come. More of your calls, 617-779-0985. Ryan Johnston at Cattles, Kendra Middleton in for Toucher and Hardy.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, y'all. Yesterday was the first Nathan's hot dog eating contest without fan favorite Joey Chestnut in a while. We have a new champion, Patrick Bertoletti, who downed 58 dogs in yesterday's competition. But the real MVP is our girl, Mickey Sudo, a dental hygienist student who set a women's record with 51 glizzies yesterday. And your Red Sox beat the I cannot talk this morning. My brain has not turned on yet. Beat the Miami Marlins to celebrate America's birthday yesterday.
It's the hot dog thing.
It is the hot. I can't get over 51 hot dogs.
As soon as you say, like, what do you say?
Glizzies.
Glizzies?
Glizzies gobbled. It makes me giggle.
Glizzies gobbled. That's it. That's it. And then the next line is just, you might as well fire it into the sun.
Your Red Sox will move on to play the Yankees for a 3-game series in the Bronx. Tanner Houck will be on the mound today for a Red Sox first pitch at 7:05. Last night in Copa America, Lionel Messi and Argentina escaped by the skin of their teeth to advance after going to penalties with Ecuador. Today's Copa America game is Venezuela against Canada at 9 p.m. And the Euros finally continue today with Spain and Germany at noon and Portugal against France at 3 p.m. And the Premier Lacrosse League is in town this weekend for their Boston weekend as the Cannons will host at Harvard Stadium. Those games will be played today and tomorrow, with the Cannons taking on the California Redwoods tonight at 6 to kick off the weekend. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanlines.com. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub, Boston's home for sports. I'm Kendra Middleton, and your next update is around 8.
Here goes Hardy.
Dutcher and Hardy.
I no longer love State.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
Sports.
Friend's house, and I had heard this song for the first time, the Motley Crue version, and came home, and I'm kind of jamming out to it. I'm singing. My mom's like, "What are you singing?" Like, it's this song, it's Smoking in the Boys Room, great new song. It's like, she's like, that's not a new song, you know. That's how I feel. Like I was there when the real Blue song was a thing, and I thought it was dumb then, but you know, comes back around.
Like one of my favorite things is I'll be listening to like an old school song, 60s, 70s, and then the light bulb will flash on. And I'll realize that a hip-hop song that I listened to in like the 90s or early 2000s, I'm like, that's where they got that from. And out of nowhere, there's a Bill Withers song, and I believe that's where No Diggity, No Doubt came from Blackstreet.
Okay.
And so like I'm listening to like a Bill Withers album. And by the way, just that man, his voice. You wanna just listen to some great music. But there's a song, I'm trying to remember the name of the song. And I'm listening to it, and I hear the beat, and I'm like, that's where Blackstreet got it from. And the light goes off, and it happens you listen to old, like, Motown music and stuff, listen to some of that, and you will be shocked by how many samples are pulled from those songs and became big smash hits, 30, 40. We all know about sampling, but it goes so deep. Like, if you listen to Rock the Bells on Sirius XM, LL does this thing where they'll go back and they'll go listen to a sample, and the producer will play the original, then they'll play the sample from the song, and he'll kind of mix the two. It's one of my favorite things on Sirius XM. It's only for like 3 minutes, but they'll do it every once in a while. It's awesome.
That happened to me not that long ago, and I'm trying to remember what song it was. Oh, you know what it was? It's Regulate.
Yeah.
You know Regulate.
Oh, one of my favorite hip-hop songs of all time.
So
Nate Dogg and Warren G.
Exactly, right? So wife and I were out at a show maybe just a few weeks ago, and they play the song that had the sample from Regulate, which is Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
I Keep Forgetting.
Yeah.
Which is like a yacht rock classic, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting in this.
Love Michael McDonald.
We're sitting in this theater, and they're just playing kind of music as everybody's getting seated, and they play "I Keep Forgetting," and my wife's looking at me like, "I know this song. I know what is this from? What is this from?" I said, "Yeah, Regulate." And she knows, how she knows Regulate, because she's younger than I am. She knows Regulate from the Bert and Ernie YouTube video. If you've ever seen that,
I know who they are.
Okay, you should look up
Sesame Street.
during the next break. Look up Bert and Ernie doing Regulate. Somebody put together years ago a video of the two of them, and it looks like the two of them are rapping to Regulate. It's phenomenal.
I'm trying to get Ryan to get the pull up the Bill Withers song. Grandma, I think it's Grandma's Hands is the song where No Diggity, No Doubt is from.
Okay.
And you'll hear it, and it's Bill Withers going, mm-hmm. That's Bill Withers.
Gotcha.
It freaks me out when in a good way. Like, I love stuff like that, because then you realize hip hop producers are such fans of music, and it goes so deep, and their ability to pull out 5 seconds of a song from 1973 and make it an all-time hook is like, that's I know sampling is but that is a talent to have that ear and be like, oh, I can do that. And I'm a huge music head, so when I hear stuff like that, I literally get goosebumps thinking about producers and that whole process and how they do it.
The other morning, Ryan brought us back from a break playing Kool and the Gang Summer Madness, which got sampled in Summertime by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Same feel, but the Kool and the Gang version, there's nothing more to it. It's just that over and over again. It's basically, like an instrumental. So
you can just learn different music. That's what's fun about it. I mean, if you want to. Some people don't care.
All right, let's get back to your calls as promised. 617-779-0985. Chris in Watertown, what's up?
Hey guys, hope you had a good fourth. I'm just wondering, what is the point of the salary cap if these player salaries are, beyond, what can you say about it?
Parity.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The payrolls and then the tax. What kind of business guy would want to get involved in that? And you see, like, some of the good owners are already out. Now, Grossback is out. Cuban is out. And Michael Jordan, I mean, I don't know how great of an owner he is, but, he's a minority owner. And they certainly need more players to get back involved in the game. Now, he's out. He's going to be out. And it's like a dominoes. And whoever buys these teams, I don't know how they're going to deal with all of this, because you're going to have to put in so much money.
Yeah, but
on all sides of it, and the tax.
But look at it this way. So, I think the estimate I saw the other day on the NBA TV contract is they're talking about like it could be worth like $76 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, so
some good money.
Divide that up amongst all the teams in the league.
Can I have $1?
So if you're an individual team owner,
that's a half of Steve Ballmer, by the way.
If you're an individual team owner, that's like $2.5 billion.
Yeah.
In your pocket.
Yeah, it's nice.
Right? $2.5 billion. So Wick Grossbeck and his family bought the Celtics 20 years ago or whatever it was, 23 years ago, or for $300 million and change. They're about to sell it for what, like 12 times that? Right? So their money, it multiplied that investment by more than 10 times in about 20 years.
Yeah, it's all about, it's going to escalate throughout time, right?
But
it's
just
once the bubble
look at it
bursts.
this way, right? If you are an owner taking over a team right now, like you're willing to put that money in, let's say you're losing $100 million a year. Well, the TV contract already paid for that money, right? You can do that. You can lose $100 million a year for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And the TV contract is repaying you that money. Not to mention that it's the long game, right? It's if you own the team for 20 years, you're going to be able to sell it potentially for 10 times what you paid for it anyway. And so if you've got the resources, and the higher the price goes, the fewer people actually have those level of resources. But if you've got the resources, you're always going to make all that money back and then some.
Another interesting part of the phone call, though, was why? Why are these contracts getting so high, and why is there a salary cap? And Adam Silver wants parity. And in the NBA, this is going to be a fascinating case, Kendra and Ryan, to watch over the next 10 years, because the NBA is putting all of their eggs in that parity basket. And they're saying, look, you're not going to be able to create these super teams. You're not going to have 3 or 4 guys making $40+ million.
Yeah, but if you're willing to pay the tax bill, then you still can do it.
Yeah, but it goes beyond that, because then it handcuffs you basketball-wise, which is the biggest issue. It's not a financial issue anymore, because what Adam Silver realized was, okay, Steve Ballmer has $157 billion. He'll pay the tax. These guys, all these super rich owners, Joe Lacob out in Golden State, he'll pay the tax. They don't care about that. It's when all of a sudden the tax bill becomes so exorbitant that it does hurt your bottom line, on top of now they're messing with the competition, because now your draft pick will finish, you'll end up getting a draft pick down at the bottom of the draft at a certain point because you're above the second apron. No matter where you finish, you could be the worst team in the league, but if you're paying X amount of dollars, you could end up with the 30th pick in the draft because, oh, well, that's how it works. You can't get the mid-level exception because you hit this apron. You can't, trade 2 guys for 1 guy anymore. You can't combine the. So it's all these competitive disadvantages for team building. That's what I talk about when I talk about the second apron and money, and when I talk about parity. So Adam Silver is telling these teams, we are going to cripple you competitively. We are going to take away certain strategies that you are able to utilize to build your basketball team if you pay the money like Golden State has and like the Clippers have. And that's why the Clippers are like, we're not giving Paul George a 4th year. That's why Golden State pauses and says, maybe we don't want to pay that much for Klay Thompson, because it's not about the money as much as it's about the competition and how it's going to limit these teams and how to build.
Until and unless there's a real, honest-to-goodness hard cap, I think it's all BS.
You're seeing it happen, though. It's happening in real time.
But you're seeing it happen like with Klay Thompson, who's not Klay Thompson anymore, with Paul George, who's not the difference between the Clippers winning and losing a championship. It's like, okay.
But these decisions would not have been made if this was 3 years ago.
But also, like, one NBA player costs the entirety of an NHL roster.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the difference of
Yeah.
the revenue in the sport.
I mean, look at NFL contracts and the funny money in those things.
And the NBA is worse.
Well, I mean,
this guy's making $100 million, but he's really not making.
Yeah, but I mean, the quarterbacks are starting to get into NBA salary now too. Like you're now getting $50 million a year guys, and not all of them are anywhere close to worth $50 million. All right, we got more to come. Couple hours down, couple hours to go. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton. We can continue to take your calls on whatever you want here on this 5th of July.
More Toucher and Hardy. signs.
Good morning, Boston. Yesterday was the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest in Coney Island. Without Joey Chestnut, your new champion, Patrick Bertoletti, down 58 dogs in yesterday's competition. And Mickey Sudo, a dental hygienist student, set a women's record yesterday with 51 glizzies gobbled. Your Red Sox beat the Miami Marlins to celebrate America's birthday as they continued to groove this season and swept a 3-game series against the Marlins. They move on to play the Yankees for a 3-game series in the Bronx, and Tanner Houck will be on the mound today for the Sox with a first pitch at 7:05. Last night in Copa America, Lionel Messi and Argentina escaped. After the game got sent to penalties against Ecuador, they will move on. Today's Copa America game is Venezuela against Canada at 9 p.m. And the Euros finally continue today with 2 great games between Spain and Germany at noon and Portugal and France at 3. And the Premier Lacrosse League is in town for their Boston weekend as the Cannons will play the California Redwoods tonight at 6 p.m. to start the weekend. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Canteen Vodka Soda. Canteen's ready-to-drink cocktails have just 99 calories, 0 carbs, and 0 sugar. Perfect for the golf course, the backyard, or your next tailgate party. Canteen Vodka Soda, drink better. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub, Boston Tone for Sports. I'm Kendra Middleton, and your next update is in about 30 minutes.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Half toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flavor.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
Sports Hub.
Elias, just wondering how quickly this came together for you.
No, obviously, as soon as Boston came into the picture, it was, it was an easy decision for me, joining this organization and Original Six, and so much history and so many good players on the team, and obviously looking at their playoff series against Florida, they're pretty much right there. So I mean, it was exciting to have the opportunity to join this organization.
It's going down, fades of Black Street. The homies got at me, collab creations. Bump like agony, no doubt. I put it down, never slouch.
There you go. Bill Withers sample.
That's it. Grandma's Hands. Even the beginning of the song is just the whole piano part and all of it.
Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton back here with you for another couple hours in for Toucher and Hardy on this July 5th.
That was pretty good. I was impressed with that. He kind of nailed that.
Thank you.
617-779-0985. You heard the voice of Elias Lindholm, who is now the 3rd highest paid member of the Boston Bruins, signing this week, along with Nikita Zadorov, 2 big acquisitions for Don Sweeney at the beginning of free agency. What'd you think of the moves?
Fine with Lindholm, because it makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
You needed a top-line center, and he might be a top-line guy for a good team, more of a second-line center for a great team. But 3 zones, wins at the dot, makes a lot of sense, helps your special teams, all that stuff. So made all the sense in the world. However, to go with defenseman as priority number 2, I did not agree with. I thought, you come out, Ryan and Kendra, and you say, Don Sweeney said this right when the season was over, we need scoring. And Jake DeBrusk, gone. Danton Heinen, gone. JVR, I know he only had, 11 goals last year, but you're losing about 50 goals from those 3 guys. And you bring in Lindholm. He might get you 20 to 25, but where's the rest of the scoring? And you're now going to have to lean on Lysell and Merkelov on that second line most likely. Combined, 4 games of NHL experience. And I know people were shaky with, if you don't get that left shot defenseman, you're going to be stuck with Lowry and Witherspoon. And, hey, at least I saw both those left shot defensemen play in the NHL. And I thought Lowry was one of your best players in the postseason. So I was very surprised that they went left shot defenseman over wing. I thought it should have been wing over left shot defenseman.
I thought you were okay with your top 6D, with the addition of more of a Forbert type, lower priced guy who can kill some penalties, who can maybe sit upstairs some nights. If the young guys, if Wotherspoon and Lorai are playing well, then you don't even need this guy in the lineup. I really liked where they were, top 6 defensively. And don't get me wrong, I like Zadorov.
Yeah.
I like the addition of size. I like the addition of a little bit of meanness into the lineup. I'm good with that. But boy, that's a lengthy contract at real money. And like you, I expected maybe that money would be spent in replacing DeBrusque. Although, I got to say, if you were going to spend $5 million a year, I mean, DeBrusque was only 5.5.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, even for all the warts around DeBrusque, I wouldn't have minded him sticking around.
I mean,
either.
Bertuzzi went for 5.5 too. So
Right.
if you wanted to at least entertain the idea of bringing Bertuzzi back at 5.5,
I don't think you can do that with him and Marchand's relationship.
yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. I also think, and I don't know how you two feel about this, but this really is a result of the Allmark deal as well, because you brought back goalie 2 instead of bringing back maybe, a Chikrin, who would have filled the left shot defenseman void. And now if you could have filled one of those 3 voids, if you could have brought back, a wing for Allmark or brought back a left shot defenseman, then that would have allowed you to use that other money that's not pegged for Swayman to put it towards the other 2 priorities. But because you had 3 going into free agency, you had to pick 2 of the 3. And I would have gone offense over defense, but I get the idea. Like, okay, it should open McAvoy up a little bit more. He won't take as many hits, won't have to get as involved as physically, and maybe he'll pull the trigger a little bit more this upcoming year, hopefully. And then, if you slide Lindholm back to the third pairing, which is what some people believe will happen, maybe Hampus will get going a little bit and his offense will show up. But, man, you're asking a lot out of Lysell and Merkelhoff.
See, that's
to step
what
up.
I've heard other people talk about, like Hampus Lindholm. You're paying him $6.5 million. He can't be a third pairing defenseman.
I agree.
That is such an overpayment if that's what his role's going to be.
I don't. And look, Ty Anderson does a great job, and other people who follow this team have talked about Lindholm maybe sliding to the third pairing. But I agree with you. I mean, I'm putting Lohrei on the third pairing, and that's how I think Carlo and Lindholm. If you want to slide Hampus back, okay. But I'm not going to slide him back to the third pairing with the money you need him to be who he was before the last year or so, because the last year or so he has not been good.
I'm in the camp that I think that you needed to prioritize scoring, especially because of what you got rid of. But the big thing for me in all this, Lindholm deal, Zadorov deal, fine. Don't love the contract situation for either of them. I thought the Korpisalo thing was an absolute fail. And now that if I'm a fan and I'm sitting here right now and Jeremy Swayman still isn't under contract and you bring in a guy like Korpisalo and you know that Brandon Bussey down in Providence is beyond serviceable to serve as a number 2 right now, I thought that they were going to try and offload the Korpisalo deal, and now that we're sitting here right now, if I'm a fan, I'm a bit concerned that I don't. Do you guys? I mean, like
you could even
you
stretch
have to pay Jeremy Swayman, and I get that they still have the money to do so. It's the only money that they really have left. But if I'm a fan and I'm still sitting here, I'm sweating a little bit that they might, because of their history with goalies and how well they've been able to develop guys in Providence, and the fact that they not only drafted Jeremy Swayman but developed him. I'm sitting here as a fan, like, are they really going to do what I think that they might do, sitting here on July 5th and let Jeremy go somewhere else?
No.
I don't think that they're going to. I'm getting nervous.
They don't trade Allmark unless they know Swayman's in their pocket.
I agree.
At some point, that deal is going to get done.
I'm just saying, I'm sitting here and I'm sweating on July 5th.
And look, they could stretch Korpisalo if they want to. They are right now, from what we know, they are in the business of him being there too. I don't get it. I'm not going to kill him for the trade. You had to get Allmark out of town. You got a first-round pick.
Sucked.
It wasn't a great return, but they had no leverage. And you had to move on from the guy, and at least you get a first-round pick, and you get somebody on the fourth line with a little bit of beef. The Korpisalo part, again, I would love to pivot and deal that contract off the books. I don't know if he gets you anything. At this point, it doesn't matter. Even if you shave 50% off the books, you do what you got to do, or you stretch them. But they're married to this idea, and I don't know if it's because Sweeney says, we need something tangible to show for the Allmark deal, which probably is a big part of it because who knows if Dean Letourneau is ever going to work out. 18-year-old guy. I like that they took the big swing. I like that they took the risk on the unicorn, so to speak.
At least they get to watch him here locally. I think that's the huge thing, too, the fact that he's playing in Boston.
But it's very difficult to not look at that trade and say the only reason Korpisalo is going to be on this roster is because Sweeney wants somebody on this roster to say, well, we traded Allmark and we at least have that guy who can help us.
No, I think it's more about Brandon Bussey's never played in the NHL.
Yeah.
He's literally never – I mean, it's a big risk to walk into a season where one of your goalies has literally 0 minutes of NHL experience and say, well, this is going to be the guy. If he's not good –
At that number, though?
Well, let's look.
I mean, I get it.
Okay,
but,
look at it this way. So Korpisalo's getting $3 million cap hit. Right. So if he's the guy that he was in Ottawa last year, that is a massive overpay.
Disaster.
Boo.
If he's the guy that he was in L.A. for 11 games the year before that, it is a great deal. If he's somewhere in the middle, he's – because
listen, goalie Bob, if anybody's going to get the best of him, it's goalie Bob.
But that's how I feel about the Bussey thing.
What I would have liked to have seen them do, which is essentially what they did, was bring in a veteran guy who's clearly the number 2, right?
Yeah.
So Yarrow Halak, when he was the number 2 here.
Yep.
Similar type of a deal where he's making, I think Halak was making like 2.5 at that point. So inflation, it's $3 million. What I don't get is, what's there, 4 years left on that Korpisalo deal? Like it's
ugly.
You don't generally lock up your backup long term like that. And so that's where they're locked into him, where if he doesn't work out, then you're going to have to bury that money in the minors, and there's going to be cap ramifications to that and all that. So that's kind of the bigger question. But I don't doubt that Korpisalo is a better goalie here than he was in Ottawa. The same way Linus Ullmark was a better goalie here than he ever was in Buffalo, because you got a garbage team playing in front of you.
Just I think the question is how much better, because he was so bad last year. But listen, I could buy into this idea that goalie Bob gets the best out of him, and he kind of reverts back to what he was before Ottawa. I could see that. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee it. I'm not the biggest believer in it, but I could envision a scenario playing out that way. It's just the $3 million and what that did to free agency, because if you throw that $3 million and what they paid Max Jones, you're looking at what, $4.5 million. You might have been able to go out there and get somebody who you could trust to be on the wing on the second line. And now, just like you had to pick something, right? It was either you're going to go young on the defensive pairings with Lowry and Witherspoon, you're going to go young with goaltender with Bussey being the backup, or you're going to go young on the second line with the wing. And they decided to go young in the second line with the wing. And now you just got to hope that Merkulov and Lysell show up and they play well and they give them some production, because if not, it's going to be 5 months from now and we're going to be sitting there going, well, guess what? They don't have enough offense. They're going to find a way to bring in offense now. So I'm fine with the Lindholm move. I thought Lindholm's contract wasn't that bad. When you looked at some of the projections online,
it's around what you'd expect.
It was 7 years. A lot of sites had $7.5, $8 million a year. So there's no doubt though that your boy Nikita got a couple of extra years on that contract.
Georgie should have gotten more time up at the NHL level last year.
And that's another question too, Kendra. Right? Like this on Montgomery. If you're gonna sit there and say we're going to trust these younger guys to give us that offense, Montgomery has to play them. He's got to show them some trust, and he's got to get through some of the rough spots.
That's
because
the big
there are
thing with
going to
the
be
Bruins,
rough
though. In my opinion, they do not give some of these younger guys enough time up at the NHL level, and it bites them in the ass.
And I think a lot of those guys don't earn the time. Like
I'm not going to argue that.
Get opportunities, like you can't in your, when you've got 3 NHL games on your resume, you can't come up and half-ass it or not show the compete level that you want to stay. Mark has a question about one of those guys. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, before I get to my question, I just want to say I love the Lindholm and Zadorov signing. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's an 8-minute video on YouTube of Zadorov absolutely train-wrecking people And I believe that's why they grabbed him right away before he wasn't going to be available. But my question is this. Are we finally going to see Fabian Lysell in the starting lineup, and will he stay there? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, that's what they've left themselves with. It's going to be going into camp. They need Lysell or Merkulov or somebody to grab that position and not let it go. And
Potch is going to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
that was. Come on, he was young. It was his first season.
No, he's not. But I'm saying he put 10 pounds of muscle on because he knows he's got to be bigger and more physical.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest guy in the world. That's
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
He was,
because of the injury
19
last
year?
Yeah.
But they basically, the word is that they told Lysell, like, you can go home for the summer, go back to Sweden, but go and work out like crazy and show up in the best shape of your life, and because you're going to have a chance to try to make this team. Well, I mean, if he wasn't already doing that, like, that says a lot about where that guy's head's at.
That's what I don't get.
It's not like there haven't been opportunities where they could have given him a look at the NHL level. Now, as the year went on last year, he was playing well in Providence. Adam McQuaid talked to the press the other day. He's their development director, and he said, like, we felt like he took some really good steps last year, and had he been healthy at the end of the year, we would have given him some looks up at the NHL level. So maybe they feel like he's knocking on the door now. It really is amazing that a guy at his level hasn't gotten a real shot at this yet.
It's just it's
where he was drafted and all of that. I mean, I think that says a lot about where he's at in this organization too. They need him to pop, and we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and that's why it's interesting to me that some people say, well, did you really want to gamble or put all of the stock into Lowry and Wotherspoon defensively? Again, at least I've seen those guys play at the NHL level. And I don't have much question about Lowry at all. And if we're talking about left shot D, third pairing, like you said, Ryan, you feel like you could go out and get a veteran guy that can take that spot and at least compete and pressure Wotherspoon to be in that third pairing. But if you're concerned about those two guys defensively, do you not have concerns about the two young wings we're talking about?
I will say I do think some of the younger guys were a bright spot of last season, though. Like, I get that Matty P got hurt early, but he was fun. Johnny Beecher was a bright spot at points. Like, that was last year. The young guys in the goaltending were the highlights of the season, in my opinion.
And that's why I would trust them more than I trust Lysell and Merkulov walking in with 4 games combined, making a difference on the second line.
Right. It's not like, hey, we need you to grab a roster spot.
Yeah.
We need you to be a top 6 winger.
Yeah.
We need you to play, 17, 18 minutes a night. Like, that's All right. We'll continue. 617-779-0985. We got everything from the week on the table this morning as we wrap up the week on Toucher and Hardy. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton with you until 10 o'clock.
fan.
Get up. We're back. Toucher and Hardy. Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Great song.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton back with you here on a Friday morning. 617-779-0985. We have Wimbledon tennis and F1 practice.
You're not a big tennis guy, huh?
You know, I don't, again, it's kind of like soccer. I don't mind it. I will check it out occasionally, usually, you know, semifinals or finals of Wimbledon or U.S. Open. Like, I'll check it out if there's nothing else on. I do enjoy a good, you know, wake up early and there just happens to be sports on in the morning.
Yeah. Breakfast with Wimbledon.
That's how I got into watching Australian football.
Oh, there you go.
Like during the pandemic, when everything was shut down and there was no sports in America.
Yeah, it was just the UFC.
And
that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally getting up at like 4:30 in the morning and watching live Australian rules football. I adopted a team. Just, you know, decided that the Port Adelaide Power were going to be my favorite Aussie rules football team.
What a time, man!
It's good stuff. I've stuck with it.
What a time!
Still keep tabs on them. Those games are on in the middle of the night, so if you're ever like, that's what it was. It was like I'm not sleeping. I'm up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. What's on TV? It's like, hey, there's a live sporting event. I haven't seen one of those in weeks.
You go back to pandemic, man. You watch some of those highlights. It's so weird that we lived through that. People with masks and they had to wipe the basketball.
Games in empty stadiums.
It just
like I saw a clip of that on Twitter the other day of baseball game with literally not a single person in the ballpark.
So weird,
right? They had, you know, the fake cardboard cutouts of fans to try to make it look like. I mean, it was what were we doing?
It was so strange. So like WWE had the Thunderdome when they had a bunch of like monitors for fans and there's faces around the ring.
Like I called a
weird.
couple of college hockey games in the middle of all that in an empty arena. It's like there's zero energy in this building. It's like, even, you know, the guys they're trying hard on the ice and all that, but it was bizarre. It's like you walk in there and it's, you know, you walk in there a couple hours before the game and it's an empty building and you just kind of, okay, great. This is what it's going to be like. And it was like, we dropped the puck and it's like, you can hear every guy on the ice, everything that they're saying. It's like, this isn't sports.
Doing a sports talk show with like no sports.
Well, that was. I didn't have to worry about that because they laid us all off on the weekends.
I had to do it. I had to do it every day, Monday through Friday, 3 hours a day solo in Virginia Beach.
It's just crazy that we're back to normal now. Like, that's the thing, is we survived all of that, and now it's just like it never happened.
No, this is like, you know, we'll be now telling our grandchildren or whatever about this like 50 years later.
Man, oh man,
you don't know real hardship. Like we got stuck in our houses for months at a time. When there was no sports.
I was in college, and it was a weird time to be a college student.
That's going to be awful.
It was horrible.
So were you actually going to classes, or was everything remote?
No. So we went home for spring break, and they told us not to come back, but I couldn't leave because I was covering college hockey, and we were in the playoffs. So I stayed to do rinkside, so I didn't leave for anything. I had to stay on campus. It was like me and like 5 other people who happened to be there. I didn't have a car. I couldn't fly home to see my mom because she was older. You couldn't get on a flight. I had a dog. So me and my Aussie just bulled on my college campus for like 3 months by ourselves in a basement. I was taking yoga and karate online, because those were the classes that I signed up for. So that was why I literally took them online.
We refinanced our house in the middle of that, and the person had to come over to get all the paperwork signed, and we had to do it out on our patio because it was out, you know, it's outdoors, and it's like, we're gonna do this as quickly as possible. We're gonna stay, you know, we're stay far
social
apart.
distance.
Yeah,
that whole thing. But there was also a piece to it for me, because like, you know, kind of hang home, not have to worry about anybody else's ish. Had cornhole boards in the backyard with the wife, would drink craft beer, just kind of hang out and play darts, listen to music.
You could get drunk at any hour and it was fine.
Yeah, it was cool. Nobody cared. just get ham boned at like 1 p.m.
Breakfast, yeah. Crazy.
Early afternoon ham bone.
I'd like to see the alcohol sales during COVID and how they spiked.
I remember when they were like, hey, there was a brewery that we used to go to called New Realm down in the Virginia Beach area, and they started to allow like takeout beers. That was a huge day. It's like me and Kelly jumped in the truck, right out to New Realm. Got a one of those the cardboard little package deals where they throw all the beer on top of and just walk out with that. Like there was just that was a great day.
I think it was about 3 weeks in to the total shutdown that I started craving Chinese food. Like it was one of my favorite things in the world is Chinese food.
I love Chinese food. And I only eat it 4 times a year though, because if I don't eat it 4 times a year, I would eat it every week.
So that's kind of where I am. Like I try not to, it's like, but every time it's like, I said to my wife, "Oh, we're gonna order out tonight." She's like, "Do you want Chinese?" Like 'cause she knows, like that's what I want. So about 3 weeks into COVID, and I'm like, I'm craving Chinese food. I drove 45 minutes in either direction to go to Kowloon.
Oh yeah.
To pick up a giant bag of Chinese food, and they were selling mason jars of Scorpion bowls and Mai Tais.
Yeah.
That was like the greatest thing.
And it was like
to go booze.
Yeah.
And these weren't even there wasn't even booze in them. I had to stop off and buy rum and brandy and all the stuff that goes into it too, but because there's like a recipe on the label of like here's what you need to add to it. But I bought like 2 64-ounce jugs
of
Mai Tai and Scorpion bowl mix to take home.
No Kowloon, what is this talk about you closing soon?
My friends thought I was nuts because I heard that we were going to shut down, and all of my friends were like, there's no shot that we're going to shut down. So I doomsday prepped by buying a ton of weed because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to like pick up in a couple of weeks if we shut down. So I bought enough weed to last me for all of COVID.
Priorities.
Thank God, I did that. I ordered masks and extra toilet paper because I was like, this is just like prepping for a hurricane, right? Like you just got to get everything that you need ahead of time.
Kind of similar feel.
So I was one of the only people who had everything, but I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be without things, one of them is not going to be weed. So that's how I doomsday prepped for COVID, and thank God that I did.
We did get some silver linings out of that, though. The whole, you can now pick up your groceries and
work from home,
set ahead, and working from home. And there were something. It felt like the entire country was fully aware that technology existed during pandemic. Like, oh, we could actually do Zooms, and you don't have to go into the office for every little single solitary chore.
Did you have to do any like family Zooms?
I did a couple of friend Zooms and family Zooms, yeah. Especially being down in Virginia Beach.
Yeah, we would all get on and we'd play Survivor, and we would vote people off of our Zoom parties and drink with each other.
See, this was the thing about that.
I think I did one Zoom get-together.
So I've got, a fairly large extended family on my dad's side, and I love them all to death. But we
was
don't,
waiting for the butt.
But we don't really speak to each other on a regular basis. We see each other when there's a big family get-together, or if one of them happens to come to town, we'll go to, like my uncle came to town a few weeks ago. Wife and I went and met him for lunch. Nice thing. But we're not, like, spending, a lot of time on the phone with each other. Suddenly it was like, hey, we're going to have all the aunts and uncles and cousins. We're all going to do a Zoom together with like 30 of us. I'm like, yeah, I have no interest in doing that. None. It's like, if we're all going to get together in person, hey, great. We'll have a good time, whatever. I'm going to be staring at all of them on a computer, not knowing which person's turn it is to speak and all.
And your grandpa doesn't know how to unmute himself.
What are we doing?
And there's definitely at least a handful of people that have no idea how to work the Zoom.
Accidentally turning on the backgrounds on and off.
And it's like, it's one thing. It's like, okay, you want to have a Zoom because you haven't seen the friend that you normally see 3 times a week. You haven't seen them in a couple of weeks and you want to catch up. Okay, great. We see each other like once every year or two. We don't need to be talking every Sunday now all of a sudden. Like, you have other people you can do that with.
We had the bar, right? So, I mean, we had to go through the whole, you got to put plastic up in certain spots, and you could have only so many people sitting inside the bar at a certain time, and you had to space out the tables perfectly because you never knew if somebody was going to walk in and check if the tables were, 6 feet apart or 12 feet apart. That was a whole thing. Somehow we survived as a business, but man, oh man, that was pretty difficult. My buddy who runs the day-to-day operation down there, he was literally taking food and beer to like houses. He started delivering food and beer just to try to stay open.
Well,
what a time.
That's how we ended up with the takeout booze here.
Crazy.
It's like hey,
not bad. That's not bad.
Not bad.
We could deal with that.
All right. Kendra's going to give us Sports Hub headlines here. 617-779-0985. You can jump in with us. We can talk. We haven't really gotten into the Red Sox plans here over the course of the next month, but Alex Cora spoke with Chris Cotillo of Mass Live over the last few days and had some things to say about his future or some things he didn't want to say about his future. Talk about whether the Red Sox are going to make any significant moves as the deadline approaches. We can get into that coming up. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Oh, Kowloon, oh, Kowloon, what is this talk about you closing soon?
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, party people. Francis Tiafoe and Carlos Alcaraz are about to face off at center court. We will keep you updated on that Wimbledon match as it goes on. Your Red Sox beat the Miami Marlins to celebrate America's birthday yesterday as they continue to groove this season and sweep the 3-game series against the Marlins. They move on to play the Yankees for a 3-game series in the Bronx, and Tanner Houck will be on the mound today for the Red Sox with a first pitch at 7:05. Last night in Copa America, Lionel Messi and Argentina escaped by the skin of their teeth to advance against Ecuador after going to penalties. Today's Copa America game is Venezuela against Canada at 9, and the Euros finally continue with 2 great matches, one being with Spain and Germany at noon, and the second being Portugal and France at 3 p.m. And the Premier Lacrosse League is in town this weekend for their Boston weekend as the Cannons will host at Harvard Stadium. They'll take on the California Redwoods tonight at 6 to kick off the weekend. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by WellPoint, formerly Unicare. They've teamed with Charlie Coyle for First Responder Friday, so do something kind today to thank our amazing first responders for keeping our communities safe. Thank you. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub, Boston's home for sports. I'm Kendra Middleton, and your next update is around 9.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy. Sports Hub.
We're a lot better than what people thought. We'll take that, but at the same time, we need to keep improving. Today we didn't turn a routine double play. There were 2 throws late in the game that were kind of like off. So keep developing these guys to be better. The trading deadline is the trading deadline. The standings are the standings. And, yeah, we're going to talk about that, of course, because that's what people want to hear. But at the end, I think we're doing a good job staying in the moment, not getting too high when we're playing well and not too low when we struggle.
Alex Cora, a lot being made of his comments throughout the course of this season about the direction of the franchise. Of course, he's probably done here at the end of the year. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton back with you in for Toucher and Hardy today. 617-779-0985. You can join us. Cora made, as he has throughout the course of this season and as the team has, in people's eyes, either overperformed or performed up to.
We're a lot better than what people thought.
Yeah, they are. I was still on the over on the wins this year, despite the. Well, see, because last year I figured they owe me for that one, because last year I was on the over. I came up a half a win short. After they went 9-19 in the month of September.
Oh, my
22 and 34 in the last 2 months of the season.
Brutal.
Like, I needed one more win. That's all. Just one more. And I blame Alex Cora, by the way, for that, because he gave up. You remember that game that they actually had the lead in, and Alex Cora said, we're just going to leave him in there and let him take a 9-run pounding.
I didn't have money on it, so I bet that you remember that game much better than I remember that game.
Yeah. Is that who? Barraclaw. Yeah, that guy. Just leave him
I
out
do
there.
remember that.
Remember that game?
Yeah, I was tweeting through that.
It was like for like weeks, people were talking about how Alex Cora just went out and gave up on national television when his team was still in the hunt.
See, but this team's only where they are because of him. It's not a roster thing. It's definitely an Alex Cora has drugged this team this far, and this team will go as far as he drags them.
What I find interesting, though, and there's a piece that Chris Cotillo came out with this week on Mass Live where he's got a fair amount of quotes from Cora, and he points out that I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, Cora basically started, he starts talking about the deadline again, starts talking about that, that quote that we just heard about how the club is better than people thought. And it sounds like he is, again, trying to pressure management into giving him something at the deadline that maybe can help get this team into the postseason. But Cora kind of went back on that a little bit, and he said, that's not what this is about. He's not putting pressure on management. He's putting pressure on the guys in the clubhouse, that he wants them to know that he feels like there's more that this team can accomplish, that they shouldn't be happy just being in contention for the third wild card. He thinks that they are better than other people do. Now, I think still it's dependent on what management decides to do, how those guys are going to take that message or not. But I think Cora looks at what happened last year, where he was putting pressure on Chaim Bloom. He was making it known, you have to give us a chance. You have to give us a chance. And then when they didn't, that everybody in that room basically checked out. And they went into a tailspin for the last 2 months of the season. And I think now, probably more for himself than necessarily for the group. But if I'm Alex Cora, I can't let this team go into a tailspin in the last 2 months of the season again. If management...
Let's get greedy.
If management doesn't do what I want them to do here, I'm walking out the door at the end of the season. I'm going to want another team to invest heavily in me. If I've got 2 years in a row where my team had a chance to make the playoffs and then absolutely crap themselves down the stretch, that's not going to bode well for my next contract.
I think he's a made man. I think he's fine.
I do too.
No matter how this year ends, he's got a ring. And there's not, many dudes out there that have a ring that you can go out and hire that's going to be available. And he also has the shield of ownership. At the end of the day, he can say, look, this team wasn't as talented as the record was through the first 80%, 90% of the season. We found ways to win. We stole bags. Guys were playing above their heads. The rotation fell apart. I mean, their rotation has been dreadful the last month and a half or so. I mean, just awful. Literally one of the worst, if not the worst, rotations in baseball. Hopefully this week, you got Brian Bayo, had his best start this week, and then, of course, Pivetta was fantastic last night. But I think, when you look at Cora, he's set, man. I don't think anybody who's interested in hiring him right now would let the final month or two of this season impact their decision in hiring him once this year's over.
It's that, and that players like him. Like, he's a player's coach, and he speaks Spanish, and that's so valuable.
But if you have a group, and you're talking about a lot of young players,
yeah.
If you can't keep them like mentally checked in for 162 games, then like why am I going to give you control of a contender?
I think ownership, and look, all of this is obviously hypothetical, but the ownership that's going to be bringing Alex Cora in, if he does leave here, which certainly looks like is going to be the case, he's out the door. I think ownership would look at it, that new ownership, and say, well, we're bringing Alex Cora in, and, he had a young team last year. And young teams, the pressure got to them, and, it was the first time they were being asked to do certain things, and guys were asked to give more impact than should have been expected. I think that will fall on the player more than it will fall on Cora, is my guess. And they'll look at the big picture. Like, you're not hiring Alex Cora because of 2024. You're hiring Alex Cora because of the entire portfolio he's put together as a baseball manager. And when Craig Counsell's getting the money he's making, I just find it very hard to believe that any team would pass up the opportunity, if they're willing to pay that dime for a manager, that they would pass up Cora because of 1 year or 2 years. I think they look at him and say, this guy's one of the best in the game, and we want him.
Okay, but if they go down, if they go down that same path as they did last year, that's 3 straight sub 500 seasons potentially.
Yeah, but like the thing is for me too, like you look at it, and if you're gonna hand him a contender, he's like he said, he's got a ring. You know that he can manage that talent. It's the fact that he's getting so much out of a roster that everyone wrote off so early. And I honestly do think that a lot of these young guys, they have a reason to get up for these games, but he gives them another reason to get up.
And he's got John Henry. Henry's going to take the bullets, I'm telling you.
Well,
Cora can walk into that room during an interview and be like, well, what? And look, some owners...
Well, but Nick, let's be honest here. What usually happens to managers that John Henry lets go? Like, they get destroyed in the press. Like
right.
They the Red Sox do not, especially if Cora is the one who's making the separation, saying, I don't think you're a good owner anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. You think
he's got to have ammo, though.
You think the Bob Holer, the article against Francona was bad?
Yeah, but we're comparing two different timelines. We're comparing two different owners, frankly. John Henry during the Terry Francona years, and even John Farrell was a different owner than he is now. We're talking dollar in, dollar out John Henry. We're talking about the guy who, we're going to reset for tax purposes when we trade Mookie Betts and then never really pay it off for the fans. We're talking about an owner who just doesn't want to pay the money that he should be paying for a team in the market that it's in with the passionate fans that they have and the history that they have. We're talking about a completely different John Henry. And I think a lot of people in baseball look at Henry and go, what the hell is this guy doing? This guy is not giving Alex Cora the talent to win. And I think, you also look at Cora's reputation in the game. John Farrell did not have that kind of reputation that Cora's got. Francona did. Francona did just fine when he left here. So I think people will look at Cora and say, baseball guy, played the game for a long time, has won a championship, and he has handled both sides of the equation, both sides of the coin. He has handled a team that makes money, that is full of veterans, that is expected to win, and he's done a good job. He's now handling a young team that had almost no expectations, putting Band-Aids on gaping wounds on a weekly basis, and having them right now as the third wild card team, only 4 games in the loss column behind the Yankees as we head into the middle of July soon. So I think people will look at the totality of what he's done in the game and say, he's too damn good. We can't pass that guy up for somebody who might be an unknown.
John Henry is the kind of guy, like, you go to dinner and you get a Venmo request from him, but if you pay him back the next day, he adds the interest for how long it took you to Venmo him back after dinner. And I think that that's what's going to be the difference in the situation.
What's
is that
wrong with that?
Oh, don't come on, RJ.
You ain't got John Henry dollars though. I mean,
I'm not floating you a loan for 24 hours. Like, what are we doing here?
Sometimes I just don't get the Venmo notification, you know?
Craig, you're up next here with Johnston, Cattles, and Kendra. What's up?
Hey, y'all. How you doing? Thanks for getting Boston Radio down here in Texas.
Got a y'all.
Hey, couple quick things is, first of all, thanks for putting the Chinese food in my head now. Going to have to order some.
How's the Chinese in Austin?
It sucks.
I'll bet. Yeah.
It's Mexican Chinese.
All right. Go ahead.
Hey, two things. For the Red Sox, if they're still in the contention for that third playoff spot, as you kind of hit on right here, I was wondering, you think if Henry would spend a couple bucks to enhance the lineup to maybe put a run together? And then also, do you think they have somebody already in place for Cora's departure that they're already hinting on and looking at right now?
So I think the popular notion is Veritek, right? That he's kind of the guy in waiting, that if Cora's really going to walk at the end of the year, which all indications seem to be, that they would turn things over to Veritek and let him be the manager. As far as whether they're going to actually see, this is I brought this up earlier this week on the show. I don't really understand what they have to lose by like, I'm not asking them to go out and take a massive swing and bring in a guy that's got 6 years left on a contract or anything like that. But if you can go out and add an arm at fairly short money at a short term, why wouldn't you? Just to give the Red Sox fans, because you still need to sell tickets, you still need to fill the ballpark, just to give them a little something that says, yeah, we do still care.
The risk is that you lose the fan that you have sold this idea that you can have just a like a top farm system, and all those guys come up and have cheap, deals.
Okay, but I'm not talking like, don't trade Marcelo Mayer.
But I think that's the risk. You ask what the risk is.
No,
I think that it's
trade the fifth best guy in your farm team to get a relief pitcher. That's not going to hurt you.
But they want
nobody's
you to
ever
buy.
going to notice.
But they want you to buy in that you can, win a World Series with your farm system. And I think that that's what you risk, is that you bring in a young coach or a new coach or whatever, and then that is what fails you, is the fact that you can't have a new young head coach or manager, and then bring your farm system up to kind of be your saving grace. Like, those two things can't happen at the same time, and I think that that's what the risk is.
I don't think you have to, like you're saying, RJ, I don't think you have to sell the farm, and this idea of, oh man, are they going to trade Teal? Are they going to trade Anthony? Are they going to trade You don't have to sell the farm to improve the team. If this team continues to play the way that they have played, if they're in wild card contention, if they're in the conversation in the AL East, if they're 3, 4, 5 games in the loss column behind the Yankees, they sure as hell better bring talent into this ball club.
Yeah, because changing a manager is not going to do that.
No, you absolutely.
Well, you also just, at some point, you start losing the players.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They already have, probably.
Well, but, I mean, if you're Devers, do I really want to be part of this? If this is what we're going to be every year, where even if we can contend for a playoff spot, you're not going to make any investment to help us out? Like, how many years in a row do I need to go through that?
I mean, a wild card team won the whole damn thing. Like, you can absolutely win. You can go on a run if you help your team out. And it would be a sign to that clubhouse. Think about all of the players that have faced the adversity they have faced this year. This team is a tremendous story right now, and it's being overlooked for obvious reasons. The Celtics went on the title run. Then you had the big Celtics news this week with the sale and all of that stuff. The Bruins, their free agency. The Patriots are the Patriots. They dominate the area, and we're going through the Elliott Wolf, Gerard Mayo stage of the rebuild, and what's that going to look like? And you draft Drake May 3rd overall, so you have the sexy new franchise quarterback to talk about. Meanwhile, the little engine that could, the Red Sox, with a guy like Jarren Duran who's playing absolutely epic baseball. Rafael Devers is hitting bombs all over the place. Ceddanne Rafaela is a very exciting young player. You've got all of these guys piecing it together. Nobody knew who Dominic Smith was 2.5 months ago, and now he's your starting first baseman. You've lost Casas for a long time. You lost Story for the year. You lost Devers and Yoshida for a part of this season. You lost Giolito before he could throw a pitch that mattered. Brian Bayo has been bad. He was the guy that was supposed to help lead this rotation. The rotation for the last month and a half has been down. The bullpen, you've had a bunch of names shuffled in and out of the bully, and this team is right there in the wild card hunt, sitting in the third spot, just a few games behind the Yankees in the loss column. You better set an example for the rest of this team. If you are John Henry, it is your responsibility. It is your obligation. And I don't have great expectations, by the way, because of how he's run the operation over the last few years. But you better get your ass moving, and you better bring somebody in that can help this team, because for the guys that are in this clubhouse that have faced adversity and continue to somehow, some way win baseball games, and for Alex Cora, who is a lame duck manager, who has decided to be completely professional and manage this team like he's here for the next decade, you should do it for all of those guys. If you're Craig Breslow, you better do something for this baseball team if you're still in the hunt 2-3 weeks from now.
All right, 617-779-0985. We got one more hour to go. Whatever you want to get into. We've talked a little Celtics ownership. We've talked some Bruins free agency. We've talked some Red Sox this morning. Anything else from the week on the table as well. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton in for the guys here on Toucher and Hardy.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Archer and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
Kendra's personal DJ for most of this show.
Enabling this activity.
Ryan, the producer, not me.
Yes, sorry. Ryan B.
Wants no part of this.
There are two Ryans here.
Next time
you can't have two Ryans. Same way you can't have two T-Bones. Like you can't.
There's two T-Bones?
It's a Seinfeld thing.
Oh.
When George wanted to be called T-Bone, but there was another guy who was
I
gonna be
watched
called
every
T-Bone.
episode of Seinfeld in my life, but I have awful recall with stuff like that. Awful.
Yeah, Kendra is enjoying the musical selections this morning.
I enjoy any musical selections. I'm just here to, dance and bring some Friday vibes.
Mission accomplished.
Thank you.
Mission accomplished.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, Kendra? Because you know these things and I don't.
Sure.
Because you have mentioned numerous times in your headlines this morning. Why is a hot dog called a glizzy?
I don't question it. I'm just on the bandwagon.
So you have no idea?
She has no idea of the origin.
I don't know the origin. I just love that it's glizzy season.
Okay.
I think it started with like the glizzy gladiator thing. I don't really know.
The term glizzy.
I don't know what that is either. What's glizzy gladiator?
The term glizzy is a slang term for hot dogs used in Washington, D.C. The term may have, AI tells us, originated from the rap world, where glizzy is also slang for a Glock handgun.
Well, yeah, but
how does that?
I wouldn't have gotten the correlation.
I don't know, Ryan. I'm not sure. I'm just telling you what the Google AI is telling me.
Well, there you go. It's glizzy season, RJ.
See, I don't mind, new slang, new vernacular. I just, I like to know what the.
Can you work
what
it
the
into
background is.
just like a normal conversation today?
No, not a chance.
No?
Because I will sound.
Oh, I have.
How do you do, fellow kids? That's
Hold on, I have the answer for you, according to Sporting News.
Sporting News waded into the glizzy thing.
The evolution of the word to include hot dog comes from the extended magazine of a pistol, which is about the length of a hot dog.
Wow.
Yes.
That rocks so hard.
That's according to Joe Rivera of the Sporting News, who wrote about this on July 2nd, like 3 days ago.
That rocks so hard.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So he was wondering too, or he already knew this and decided to share it with the world?
I guess he wanted to dig into the whole thing. Glizzy meaning, much like Frankfurter, Wiener, Frank, Link, and footlong, the glizzy is just another word for a hot dog. It's not as aged as some of the rest of those terms. It gained popularity in the early 2020s, though the term was widely used in the Washington, D.C. area before that. With roots in the rap world, that glizzy is slang for a Glock handgun. The evolution of the word to include hot dog comes from the extended magazine of a pistol, which is about the length of a hot dog.
I keep that thing on me, a.k.a. hot dogs. You do headlines. You got to find synonyms for stuff sometimes.
Do you know who Glizzy Lizzie is?
No.
Neither did I, but Elizabeth Glizzy Lizzie Salgado is a competitive eater who made her Nathan's hot dog eating contest
Okay,
debut
well, that makes
last
sense.
year.
If you're a competitive hot dog eater, then yeah, you would adopt that.
I mean, she ate not to pass
See,
judgment.
you just ran
she
down
ate 8 3/4 of a hot dog in 10 minutes.
See,
she didn't crack the double-digit mark. So Glizzy Lizzie needs a lot of work.
You just ran down like a list of things that you could refer to a hot dog as.
Yes.
Like a Frankfurter makes sense because Frankfurt, Germany. That's a sausage
you
thing.
can't say gobbled Frankfurters.
Well, you can.
Gobbled glizzies sounds way better.
Well, again, if you know what a glizzy is, but
do people not know what glizzies are?
That all depends on the age and internet savvy of your audience, I think.
I think everybody knows glizzy.
You want to put a poll up on this one?
617-779.
Which, by the way, we have to. Can I take umbrage with your poll?
Why? Sounds personal.
So Nick, we had a conversation early on in the show today.
Yes.
About toppings for hot dogs.
Yes.
And you're a ketchup on your hot dog guy.
And you're down bad in my poll, by the way.
Well, but this is the problem that I have with the poll. The poll is not. It's not that I'm pro ketchup or anti ketchup. It's pro ketchup on a hot dog. Those are two very different things.
He looks for a headline.
I clearly asked you. Oh, you're anti ketchup, and you did not deny that. I said it multiple times.
I said ketchup is fine, but I'm not putting it on a hot dog.
You see how you say
Or
that?
French fries.
Fine.
French fry. I generally don't
He said
use
he likes
ketchup on my French
aioli
fries
on
either.
French fries.
Okay, what would you put ketchup on? If you're not anti-ketchup, what is ketchup worthy?
I will sometimes put ketchup on a burger.
Sometimes. See, there's a qualifier. It's always a qualifier. Oh, it's fine. Just admit it, RJ. It's fine. You're anti-ketchup. It's fine.
I'm not. If I were anti-ketchup, I would never eat ketchup. And I'm telling you that there are times that I do eat
Just
ketchup.
a burger sometimes.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
yeah.
5 times a year.
Pro
you'll
or
dabble in
anti-ketchup on eggs?
Yeah, like if we're doing burgers on the grill over the weekend, ketchup will be a condiment that is available to people. And I will it's kind of a spur of the moment thing. Sometimes I will do ketchup and mayo. Sometimes I will do nothing at all.
Ooh, fancy sauce.
Yeah.
Ketchup and mayo. That's what Kelly does, my wife.
Ketchup and mayo it's a solid choice for a burger.
She does it with the fries.
See, I'll make a burger sauce with ketchup, mayo, a little Dijon mustard in there, a little garlic.
So, yeah, but even when you have a burger, you just don't have ketchup. You have to put something with the ketchup, which means you're pretty much anti-ketchup.
But the point of the conversation that we were having was ketchup on a hot dog, because I was making fun of you because that's something a 6-year-old should do, and you are decidedly older than 6.
It's something a 6-year-old would do because that's what you think.
So I'm just saying
I'm perfectly fine with ketchup on a hot dog. I will eat ketchup on a hot dog every day of my life.
But you turn that conversation into a poll that is, are you anti-ketchup or pro-ketchup?
You are
That's really not the
anti-ketchup, and you are so fighting against this idea that you're anti-ketchup. I'm not anti-ketchup because I have it on a burger like 3 times a year, but I also put mayo with the ketchup so I can mix it with the ketchup. You're anti-ketchup, Johnston.
If I were anti-ketchup, if I stopped at Wendy's on the way home,
unbelievable,
and I told them, hey, I want a classic with no ketchup on it, that's anti-ketchup. I will take that classic as it comes. I'm not asking them to do anything special.
How would you like me to word the next poll, Johnson? I'll ask you.
It was the conversation was about hot dogs. That's where we were debating ketchup on a hot dog.
I don't know. You came across to me as an anti-ketchup guy.
I feel like you're anti-ketchup too.
Thank you.
I gotta say, not to gang up on you.
It's not at the top of my list, but it's not something that I.
It's fine.
That's
unquote.
Exactly. It's fine.
Yeah.
If I
that's
tell
what
a
you
man
say.
I'm fine, I mean I'm the opposite of fine.
I was just gonna say that's what you say.
That's
to your,
a whole man-woman thing.
That's
too.
what you say to your wife.
I
When
say
your
I'm
wife comes
fine,
in wearing
I'm fine.
something. Do you like this? It's fine, which means you don't really like it. But it's honey, it's fine. It's like if ketchup was the last condiment on the planet, you would have some of it. So you're not technically anti-ketchup, but it's like 50th on your list. So you're pretty damn anti-ketchup.
I wouldn't go 50th. It's in the top 10.
I don't even think I can name 50 condiments.
Are there 50 condiments? George, look it up. Are there 50 condiments? We didn't even get into honey mustard.
What do you count as a condiment?
You want to talk about honey mustard? I'm all in on honey mustard. I'll eat that by the gallon.
You can eat that. You can put that on a shoe.
Oh, Kendra just made a face like she's.
I
out
love
on
honey
it.
mustard.
Oh, all right, good. I think me and Kendra, we sneaky have some things in common.
No, I am not a picky eater. You're a picky eater.
Just because my stomach, Kendra.
Okay, well,
If I had like a steel
ifs and buts
drum for
in that argument enable what I just said. Picky eater.
Well, what's a picky eater?
There's actually a quiz that I found yesterday that somebody tweeted me. I can have you do it during a break.
Okay. I'm going to end up being a picky eater, guaranteed.
Yes. All right, let me ask you this. Do you eat sushi?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Raw sushi?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. That's a point in your direction.
I got a point.
Congratulations, Nick. You got a point.
That's the best thing that happened to me all day today. I got a point.
It doesn't give you a tummy ache.
Harry, you're up next here on Toucher and Hardy with us. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, the Red Sox, right? You guys, like now, the Red Sox got to do something. They got to do something. That's what you say, right? I love the show, but that's what you say. I'm not a John Henry guy, but they already did something. They did something at the beginning of the year when all you guys were saying, oh, we don't even know their names. Well, this team is going to be terrible. Now they're 6 games out and you're demanding they do something. All the free agents they brought in and signed, they're all on the DL. I don't know how Blake Snell's doing or Jordan Montgomery's doing. I have no idea because I don't hear about it. But I know Tanner Houck's doing well, and I know aren't they getting Hendricks Liam Hendricks, the reliever back. I mean, come on, man. You demand and say, guys should really say, I hope they do something. And someone should say something to John Henry, gives a conversation, says 1 in 30 chance. That's at the beginning of the season. Now it's a 1 in 6 chance.
Well, that's kind of the point, Harry, is that, look, expectations change, and people didn't think that this team was a playoff caliber team at the beginning of the year. They have now shown themselves to this point to be in that category. So you would expect that ownership would see that as well and say, hey, maybe it's worth a little bit of investment. Again, not asking, don't trade away your top prospects, but if you can add a piece here and there that sends the message to your fans, that sends the message to your players, that sends the message to your manager that, you know what, we understand that we have a chance to make the postseason, and if you can make the postseason, then you have a chance to potentially steal a World Series here. Isn't that worth a small investment? Again, not asking for them to go out and add a $30 million a year player who's on the roster for the next 5 years, but if you can add a piece here and there as a rental or maybe a starter who can be your 4th or 5th starter next year too, is that too much to ask?
I mean, things evolve, right? I mean, just because we felt a certain way 4 months ago about this baseball team doesn't mean that we have to lock it in for the entire year and say, you know what, I didn't think this team was going to be very good back in March. So now that they're good, don't do anything because I said they weren't going to be very good in March. No, that's why we play sports. That's the whole idea. Guess what? Breaking news. We're wrong. And actually, people should be happy when we admit, oh, we might have been wrong about this baseball team. They're proving us wrong. So what's so wrong about wanting them to get better and add to a team that is playing good baseball?
I'm a huge believer, having spent a number of years doing minor league sports. I am a huge believer in developing young players in a winning environment.
Yeah.
Right? Once you kind of understand what it takes to win and you have experience competing at the higher levels in your sport, it makes a difference down the road. So if nothing else, given what's happened with this team in the last couple of years where they haven't invested and things, especially last year, went off a cliff, I would much rather take a look at some of the young guys on this team and say, I want to see, I've seen what these guys can do in April, May, June, July.
Right.
What can they do in September? What can they do in October? Right? I want them to have that experience. If I'm serious about trying to win a World Series in the next 5 years, and I believe that we are building that from within, at some point you need to get those guys that level of experience so that they don't melt down the first time they go through it 3 years from now when you really think you have a World Series contender, but the guys aren't ready because they're used to playing on teams that are sub 500 in August and September.
And I think we should demand. I don't know what the problem was with the semantics of hope versus demand. But yeah, when you have a team that is exceeding expectations, that is doing everything that it can night in, night out to stay in the wild card hunt, they're now only, 4 or 5 games behind the Yankees in the loss column. When you have a team who's battling and trying to win as much as they possibly can, you have a manager who's doing as good of a job as Cora has been doing, yeah, we should demand that the baseball team that asks fans to pay money to go to games, we should demand from ownership to care and to actually add to a team. If this team was 10 games under 500, I'd be saying sell, sell, sell. Get rid of Kenley Jansen. Get rid of anybody else that has, 1 year left on the deal. Get rid of guys who aren't going to be here in 2 or 3 years. And let's just continue to build up the farm system and head into next offseason. But that's not what they are. Right now, they're a playoff team. And they actually have a chance right now, the way they're playing, the way the Yankees have just fallen apart. They have a chance to make a little bit of headway, maybe even in the division. Now, probably unlikely, but you still look at the team and you say to yourself, okay, 7.5 games back on July 5th of the AL East is not insurmountable. So, yeah, I think the media, I think fans, everybody should be demanding and I said this as the caveat, Ryan, Kendra, you are here. If they're at this same spot 2 weeks from now, if they tank and they lose 9 out of the last 10, then we evolve the opinion. And we say, okay, it was a great story, but they're kind of going off the rails, so maybe don't go too crazy here and do too much. But if they continue to play this way for the next 2 weeks, and they are solidly in the conversation for not only wild card, but maybe even the AL East, you should demand ownership to do something. You should demand this front office to do something. Because the point is to win a title. And we just saw that with the Celtics. That's why we watch. That's why we pay. That's why they play.
I'm a little distracted. I just came across the guest list for the white party at Michael Rubin's house yesterday. I'm impressed with myself. I know everybody on this list. I've actually heard of them.
Were you invited?
Yeah, but I decided to pass it up because I had to be here this morning.
Sure, Kendra was invited. She's all over the place.
I was not invited.
No? How dare they?
Shocker, I know.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll continue. 617-779-0985 if you want to jump in with us with anything that we've talked about today or haven't. Anything that's been going on throughout the course of the week. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton here for Toucher and Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sport.
Toucher and Hardy, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton with you here on a Friday morning.
That's a rejoin for me. Yeah, Ryan. Getting it done back there.
Little tool.
I see you.
Shouldn't say that about people.
just a mean thing. I saw them in concert. Have you seen them in concert?
I've not. It'd be pretty cool, though.
Danny Carey is a wizard behind the drum set, my friend. It's a great show to be at.
One day.
Kendra's not as involved with this one.
I don't even know who that was.
It's a little tool.
We got her. Anyway.
We've been all over the place this morning. A lot of hot dog talk.
Covered a lot of ground. COVID.
Why is a hot dog called a glizzy?
I don't question it. I'm just on the bandwagon.
There it is.
It's true.
But now we know.
No, we really don't.
I think
there doesn't seem to be any real explanation for this.
I mean,
it's roughly the same size as a Glock. Is like not a. That's not an answer.
I'm gonna start using that as a unit of measurement.
That's the best we can do. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, Ryan.
Not to mention, like, is it though? Because there's
the internet's telling me
there's
it is.
foot long hot dogs, there's bun length hot dogs, there's regular length hot dogs, there's natural. Like, what would be considered like the length of a? It wasn't even the length of the Glock, right? It was the length of the magazine for a Glock.
Gotta look this up again now.
I mean, the fact that Glock becomes glizzy to begin with, it's like I'd rather just be like.
Well, it's because I do know the answer to this. Obviously slang becomes popular amongst the youth, but in rap, the reason that they started to have to use so much slang was that they thought that it would deter police officers from knowing the crimes that they potentially commit.
It's the extended magazine of a pistol.
Well, if I were the police officer, I'd be befuddled too, because I don't understand what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of slang in rap.
Very upset about this term.
No face, no case,
RJ. I just don't get it.
Are you more upset about glizzy or more upset about ketchup existing?
Ooh, good cue.
There's nothing wrong with ketchup.
Would you rather exclusively have to refer to a hot dog as a glizzy or only be able to eat ketchup on hot dogs for the rest?
Hot dog again, because you would have to have ketchup on it.
He is anti-ketchup. That settled the debate.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I am anti-ketchup on a hot dog.
By the
period.
way, this opens the door for me to bring up the
I would
poll results.
just no longer enjoy hot dogs the way I enjoy hot dogs.
Down bad. 74.7% are pro ketchup. 25.3% anti-ketchup.
Again,
my mom's anti-ketchup.
You're just, but the
question
again, the question that you asked in that poll is just, are you anti-ketchup or pro-ketchup?
We're not having
of
this
course,
conversation
everybody's
again, Ryan.
pro-ketchup.
He does corner you on the internet.
It's like, of course, everybody's pro. Yeah, if you just, is there anything that you enjoy that you would like ketchup on? Yes, most people would say yes to that. So of course, you've slanted that question.
I'm disgusting, and I would just eat relish with a spoon if I had to.
I mean, that is pretty gross.
Yeah, I am gross.
That's like something a pregnant woman would do.
What is with this show? And
no, but like that's the thing is like pickles is like that's like a thing that women crave when they're pregnant.
Yeah,
right?
pickles and peanut butter.
Peanut butter, yeah.
Right. So I mean, just like chowing down on plain
I would
old
try
pickle
pickles
relish
and peanut butter together. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff that fits well together. You can.
I would do that.
Speaking of hot dog, like have you ever seen like people who eat like cream cheese on a hot dog?
No.
Yeah.
That's like that's a thing. I forget exactly where. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the Midwest. There's one of the teams out there does like a specialized hot dog with cream cheese on it.
Seattle, that's where it is.
Oh, is that where this?
Seattle, it's Seattle does. Yeah, it's cream cheese and sauerkraut.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I would muck that.
I don't know if I'm in on that. I mean,
I love sauerkraut.
I would try it, not sauerkraut.
You
but
don't
the,
like sauerkraut?
The cream cheese thing. See, there's a lot.
That's good for your tummy.
I don't know. I don't know if the cabbage would be good for Nick's tummy.
It is because it's fermented, so it's got like the probiotics and all the good bacteria and stuff. That is pro tummy.
Give you the farts though, man.
Oh yeah,
cabbage. Oh yeah.
Yeah, not a cabbage guy.
It's good for your tummy.
A lot of food that I'm not a fan of just because I just never had it. So it's just like I don't know if I've ever had sauerkraut.
It's so good. I'll bring you some. Next time we host together.
You got to if you're gonna do
the whole show's gonna be me and Kendra just eating sauerkraut.
If you're gonna do sauerkraut, you got to get it from like a street vendor in New York like out of the cart with the
that's what the good stuff is.
with the nasty hot dog water
I
and the whole
prefer it
thing. Like
warm.
you gotta.
God.
That's the way to do it.
What are we doing?
Yeah, warm sauerkraut's the move.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. We really went off the rails.
It's Ryan's fault.
What? Because
he
I
hates
don't like ketchup?
Your fault. What do you want to talk about now, Ryan?
Let's talk to Sean in Worcester about ketchup. What's up, Sean?
Not much, Johnston. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, so just a quick question, just to try to help you answer this ketchup issue. What is there something that you would undoubtedly slam dunk put ketchup on, like eggs? If there's something that you consider you would actually can't do without having ketchup on that item, what would it be?
I like this.
So you have to I won't eat this without ketchup on it.
Yes, it's like the opposite of the hot dog thing.
Okay.
Where, like, you would not eat a hot dog if you had to have ketchup on
Right.
it. What food item would you have to have ketchup on?
Yeah, because I'm like I said, I'd rather go a plain hot dog than a hot dog with ketchup.
Yeah,
You would eat a dry dog before.
It's not dry.
with a wet bun.
You would. Oh.
I enjoy the taste of the hot dog.
I've
the
thrown up
condiments
roughly
are
10
second.
times
I
in my
have
mouth during
comments
this
I
show.
will keep to myself.
So answer the question.
Why am I? No, I thought this was more of a question for you. There's nothing in the world that I have to have ketchup on.
Well, cheeseburger, 100%.
See, I told you.
I'm not having a burger without
I can
ketchup.
take it or leave it on a burger.
I'm not having I would have hot dog on the list. Hot dog, I'm having ketchup on. Eggs, I'm having ketchup on.
You put ketchup on your eggs.
Yeah.
You are a child. You are a child. Ketchup on like scrambled eggs. You're the guy in the diner who's going, hey, can I get some ketchup over here?
I don't have to have ketchup on eggs, but I put ketchup on eggs.
Ew, that is disgusting.
It's fine. It's fine.
Ketchup on eggs
Pass
is
judgment all you'd like.
gnarly.
I told you I love ketchup. What part of I love ketchup did you guys not understand?
Little hot sauce on my scrambled eggs. I'm there.
Great.
For.
Good. It's awesome for you. I like ketchup. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares what I put on my eggs? You're offended by this.
He's offended now.
No, you're offended.
We got him.
Yeah.
Nope.
The ketchup on the eggs was a step too far for the room, and Nick's offended now.
Calling me a child for the 8th time might have been a step too far because my eating habits, okay?
I'm going to make you take this quiz during
God
the break.
forbid I have ketchup on my eggs. Oh, boo this man. Boo this man.
There are just certain things. I
Such
don't know.
a food
I
snob.
just said that I
Ryan
would
Johnson.
eat relish with a fork, so you know what? I feel like I got to give you this one.
Yeah. I'd eat relish by the spoonful.
I
And then I'm
would.
like, oh, I like some ketchup on eggs. Oh, my God. Ketchup on eggs. That's done.
I would eat it if I had to, but it wouldn't be my choice. Something about the sweetness with the eggs and the ketchup just.
French fries, gotta have ketchup. 100% have to have ketchup. Tater tots, ketchup. What else? Try me. Hash browns, ketchup.
What won't you put ketchup on?
I mean, things that don't have condiments on them. I'm not putting ketchup on, like, steak.
I was just thinking
I
that
was gonna
exact thing.
ask the
It's like
steak.
I'm picturing Nick at the Capitol Grill going, "Hey, can I get a bottle of ketchup over here?"
No.
Oh, I found this. I'm going to send you this picky eater quiz.
When I was younger, I might have gone the ketchup on the steak, but then I started to eat steak that was marinated and all that. And that ended that whole thing.
Let me pull in Nate here real quick. Nate, go ahead.
I got to agree with him. You got a bacon, egg, and cheese on like an English muffin or a bagel or something, throw a little pepper and ketchup on that thing, man. You can't do it without it, bro.
You can't put ketchup on bacon.
If you put ketchup on bacon,
Dude, not by itself. Like, I wouldn't eat bacon with ketchup, but I'm saying as a whole. And yes, absolutely, you put ketchup on scrambled
if
eggs,
anything,
bro.
I'm putting
Thank you.
maple syrup on that, John.
Thank you. What is
ketchup on that? You put them scrambled eggs in the toast. Oh, come on, man.
What is this caller's name? What is your name?
Nate.
Nate, this is Nate.
You are the smartest man alive, Nate. Thank you.
I'd rather put maple syrup on it.
Even though
than
you
ketchup.
called me him, it's fine. I think that's the third him I got today.
Hey, that's a compliment in Gen Z.
You called me him earlier.
Yeah.
No, I know
It's
him.
him with a capital H.
I get the whole I am him thing. I get it. I mean, Carmelo Hayes, other people. I get it.
It's a compliment.
You didn't mean it as a compliment when you called me.
You don't know that.
I'm gonna think it now for the rest of the day.
He was nice to you. You can't say that.
So I got a point, and I was called him by Kendra today.
See,
that's it.
I love it. I love
Have it
a
4th of
good
July.
breakfast
I'm out.
sandwich. Like that's probably not far behind Chinese food.
Don't you have like the
in
whole
my pecking order.
theory where you reheat your breakfast sandwiches a certain way?
It's not reheat. It's wrap them up in foil for a few minutes. This is no, Cattles, you're laughing at this. This was something.
It's just a delicate care.
This is something that I
serious?
figured out.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
is it when you ever make a breakfast sandwich at home? No, I guess the answer is
no.
But if you make a breakfast sandwich at home,
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, haven't done it in years,
invariably,
but
it's not as good as what you get at Dunkin' or someplace like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Why is that? And I figured it out. It's because you eat it right away. Like you put the eggs on there, you put the bacon or sausage, you put the cheese on it, and then you pop it into a bagel or an English muffin, and you put that thing down right away. What you need to do is wrap it up in foil and just let it sit on the counter for a few minutes. It'll stay warm. It'll help melt the cheese into it. It helps kind of meld the flavors together. The bread vessel of choice soaks in a little bit of that extra grease. It makes all the difference. Just a few minutes wrapped in foil. And I would tell you, while we're on the subject of hot dogs, if you're making dogs at home, do the same thing because it steams the bun in there.
Love a steamed
Good
bun.
steamed bun.
Get that bun nice and steamed.
And then you take that thing, you open it up, and you don't
open
put
up that-
ketchup on it.
You open up that steamed bun.
You don't put ketchup on it. Go to
Slather
town.
some ketchup on there.
Oh man.
All right, Kendra gives us Sports Hub headlines.
Yeah,
Final segment coming up next. Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton in for Toucher and Hardy.
Sports Hub headlines.
Good morning, party people. If you are just joining us, I hope you had a safe and exciting 4th of July. As is tradition, yesterday was the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest in Coney Island. It was without fan favorite Joey Chestnut, and your new champion is Patrick Bertoletti, who put down 58 dogs, and Mickey Sudo, the women's world record holder, with 51 yesterday. Your Red Sox beat the Miami Marlins to celebrate America's birthday. They are on a roll after sweeping the Marlins in a 3-game series and will move on to play the Yankees in the Bronx for another 3-game series. Tanner Houck will be on the mound today for your Red Sox at 7:05. And last night in Copa America, Lionel Messi and Argentina escaped by the skin of their teeth after penalties with Ecuador to advance. And today's Copa America matchups are there's just one. It's Venezuela and Canada at 9 p.m. And the Euros finally continue today with Spain and Germany at noon and Portugal against France at 3. And currently, Carlos Alcaraz leads American Francis Tiafoe on center court at Wimbledon. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the court, course, or trail this summer. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston's Prolotherapy. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub, Boston's home for sports. I'm Kendra Middleton, and your next update is in half an hour.
Stay tuned for more. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Ryan Johnston, Nick Cattles, Kendra Middleton, wrapping up our Friday. Okay. Kendra,
I know where this is going.
Again, I never feel so old as when I'm in the room with Kendra. Because things come out that I just can't wrap my head around. And this is worse than Nick and his ketchup on the eggs. So Kendra just mentioned an app that I literally have never heard of. It's called what? Eat With?
Eat With.
Okay. Explain the concept of this app.
It's an app that I found on Forbes where you can make a reservation while you're traveling and get a local to make you dinner at their house.
Hey, wait. When you said this and you said, like, you're eating with locals, I figured it meant, like, you were going to a restaurant with locals. You go to their house and they cook you dinner?
You go to their house.
And I'm floored by this idea.
I'm out on that. I'm out on the idea of having to go to the house.
But yeah, I was going to go eat dinner with Maria and her husband with my friend.
So Kendra was explaining to us earlier that you're
Maria did her wrong.
Maria.
Okay. So you're taking a trip to Europe.
Yes.
Okay. And you were going, this was where?
This was going to be in Dubrovnik, Croatia.
So just some random elderly couple from Croatia.
Yeah, who DM'd me, go up the stairs, third door.
DM'd her.
Wasn't Croatia where they did Hostel? Like, isn't that where they they were kidnapping people and
yeah, like
torturing them?
I don't know if I would trust somebody to the point that I'm going to their house to eat dinner. I thought like maybe they would tell you about like a good restaurant and you meet them at the restaurant.
I won't even do an Airbnb when there's nobody there. Like, because I'm creeped out about being in people's houses and God knows what.
Oh, I like Airbnb.
No, I don't use Airbnb.
You're out on it? That surprises me.
No, because I'm scared that there's going to be like a camera taking videos of me getting naked.
Absolutely.
Did you call it naked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're definitely on. If you're using Airbnbs, you're definitely on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, you're definitely on like the deep web.
I'm never doing a show with you guys again. Like, you're freaking me out about so many things right now.
You did take our picky eater quiz.
How did I do? I got 10 points. I don't know what that means.
That's a lot.
The guy who did it got 7.
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, I DM'd it to you on Twitter.
Oh,
I had
okay.
1.
Yeah, but
what were your 10 that you won't eat?
I think you're like at the extreme.
That's fine. What were your 10 that you won't
I don't
eat?
know. It's not in front of me anymore.
Okay, well, it's not like you can't pull it
Liver. I know liver was one thing that I have no interest in eating.
Oh, see, but like if you freeze it and put it in a smoothie.
Okay, so I would probably eat more things on that list if it was like once in my life.
Oh, no.
I was more attacking it like, is it something I'm interested in eating?
Oh, no, like you can... No, I'm not going to get on my like health food crazy like BS, but you can like freeze liver and put it in smoothies for like health benefits so you like don't taste it.
Yeah, like there's...
I just have no interest in liver.
Yeah, I'm
frozen, unfrozen.
I'm looking at this
smoothie.
list, and there are some things on here that I have tried that I don't enjoy.
How many did you get? Like a total of things you wouldn't eat over like a quick glance?
Well, like I hate canned tuna. The smell of canned tuna
is the one thing on there that I wouldn't eat.
I'll eat raw tuna.
Me too.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, same.
But
I don't need to eat cat food.
Canned tuna is pretty
canned tuna
gross
all the time.
That explains a lot.
I think most of the other stuff, like I don't like.
Do you put ketchup with your canned tuna?
No, I didn't.
I don't like olives.
Don't be so ridiculous.
You don't like
Kendra.
olives?
No, I hate that briny taste, like the
I
briny
love
taste
that.
of them.
See,
so
I want blue cheese, olives, and like basically the dirtiest martini you've ever made. I want like no vodka. I mostly want like blue cheese and olive juice.
Fan of blue cheese.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the blue cheese.
Love blue cheese.
all right, so wait, getting back to Kendra. Okay, so you were going to go and eat at some 75-year-old couple's house in Croatia,
And they stood her
Up
up.
the stairs, third door.
Would you have any idea what they were cooking?
No.
Or can they, like, is there any way to know that can they
like,
actually cook?
Yeah, so there's reviews on the app. Like it'll tell you how many people have been, like what their reviews are and stuff like that, and you can state if you have like food allergies or something like that. But other than that, you like no. And it's expensive.
All right, so
So you're paying, like, it's expensive to go, like, my nightmare is like sitting down to dinner with a group of strangers, people that I've never met. Like I have to make conversation with these people.
That's so cool to me.
They don't like. I assume they speak English.
I mean, who's to say?
Although it doesn't matter now because you said they canceled on you.
Yeah, they they canceled, sent me a refund, and now I don't get to hang out with Maria and her husband, and I'm really upset about it.
Kendra is just fine going to somebody that she doesn't know their house and eating a meal that they cooked.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing.
But is against staying at somebody's house for an Airbnb when they're not at home. Let's think about that for a second.
I mean, I guess would this be
she's trying to make that work in her head now. She's like, wait a minute.
Like if you were a serial killer, would you sign up to be an eat?
Don't go to the bathroom at that house, Kendra.
No, I can fist fight. I could fist fight somebody. I can fight. But I can't fight a camera that's recording me that I don't know about.
75-year-old badass Croatian. You don't know what you're getting into there.
I'm a black belt. I could fend for myself.
Maria might be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You don't know.
She's 75.
Could have like Krav Maga training or something.
I'm not. I think Krav. Okay, I'm not gonna get into this. We can talk about UFC another time. I don't think that Krav Maga is that impressive. My brother's a black belt in Krav, and I think I could still kick his ass.
Ooh. I'm just. I can't fathom.
It'd be a little weird.
Doing like when you first said it, I thought, okay,
I'm okay with the restaurant.
It's odd. I've been to restaurants where they have kind of like the community tables where you're sitting like the wife and I will be sitting across, and we're literally sitting basically with another couple that we've never met before, and we're having our own conversation. Being in someone's house is just there's no way.
See, I'm cool with the Airbnb. I'm not cool with like sitting there and having dinner with somebody that just like I don't know.
If somebody said, "Hey, I'm taking you to friends of mine or my extended family, and they're gonna put on a traditional Croatian,"
but it was Forbes recommended. Okay. You wouldn't do that?
No. Like if
I don't,
gonna
die,
if literally
I'm gonna die,
I don't
whatever.
know, if I don't know anybody there, or I have no connection to anybody
There's
there.
There's worse ways to go. People would be like, "Yo, this girl murdered by a 75-year-old couple who pretended to cook online with their hands and got a Forbes article." I'd be a legend.
See, I'm looking at this.
I don't know
there
about
are different.
that.
There are different levels of experience on this app. Like if you wanted to go to Athens, the essential guide to Athenian street food, where they're going to take you around the city and they're going to take you to
cool
various.
With that.
I'm all in.
I want to go talk to old
that
people.
That sounds like a great.
You could
spot.
talk to old people outside, though. You could talk to old people at markets and restaurants. And why do you have to be in their homes?
Because me and Maria we could have had something special.
Smell all like plasticky and stuff. You think they got plastic on their couch?
Don't put that evil on her, Ricky Bobby.
She was the one that stood you up. You're sitting here defending her.
Well, maybe
she told you to get lost.
What if she's like old and ill?
She DM'd you to ghost you inevitably.
Sean on Twitter. Taken 5, Croatian Captive, starring Kendra Middleton. All she wanted was dinner. 75-year-old's house.
Badass Billy Gunn, Kendra. What do you know about it?
So are you gonna try and find somebody else now to go?
Yeah, probably. If you have loved ones in Croatia that want to cook for me on the Eat With app, hit your girl up.
George's gonna be nonstop picking up the phones now after that.
Isn't Belichick Croatian? Like, isn't that like you could find the Belichick clan?
Ooh.
Maybe Bill Belichick will take you to Croatia.
Well, I'm already going.
All right, fun morning, guys.
On his dime.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye bye.
Happy Friday.